I can't believe that we're here. I can't believe today. I can't believe we're here. I can't believe it's the end. I can't believe it. And by that, I mean, it's the last live stream for 2022. What did you think I was talking about? Just kidding. You probably thought I was talking about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, which I think we're at the end of the road. It's the end of the road, which I think is a good thing for everybody. We're going to talk about statements from Amber Heard, statements from Johnny Depp's lawyers, of course, through his lawyers and not her. Or through him, we're going to talk about that settlement. We're going to talk a little bit about the mixed verdict in the Weinstein case. And then we're going to do a ton of questions. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's coming up for the rest of the year while I am offline with the family. I have a very cool podcast for you tomorrow, if I do say so myself. I really enjoyed recording it yesterday. There's some stuff in that podcast that has never been reported. I think people forgot it existed. I'll tell you what that is as we get to the middle of this. But I'm very excited to share that with you. And then I have a great last podcast of the year for you. The Emily Show podcast just hit over 2 million downloads. It's growing. It's amazing. I am so incredibly in awe of all of you for helping make that podcast a success. And I think I'll share in our member spaces and then over on social media a little bit of what Spotify said about how the podcast has grown, because I think it's fun to share with you all how many countries it's being listened to in and all of those details. I always feel weird about sharing them. It's like, do we share these things? Do we not? And then I thought maybe you would like to see them. So I'm going to share those with you too. We have lots to do today, don't we? Lots to do today. I'm excited to do it. And it's just, we should just get into it. I can't believe it. So for those of you celebrating Hanukkah, happy Hanukkah. For those of you that will be celebrating Christmas, 'tis the season, and happy Christmas. And it's time to do our last stream, lots of Q&A, and just, well, 2 topics. We might vote on another one because there's other stuff. Johnny Depp had filed another response in the appeal that we haven't covered yet. But does it even matter if it's over? Do we care? Do we want to look real quick? I don't know. You let me know if we want to have a sneaky peek. Let's put up a poll, Miguelina. Let's ask if they want to take a look at Johnny Depp's response after we go over the settlement real quick, just to make sure we've closed the whole ass loop. And with that, replay crew, love you. There will be timestamps down below. We have a lot to do today. I have coffee. I have cursey words. Let me know where you're coming in from and what you're drinking. Hopefully you're staying warm, because I'm looking at these weather reports, y'all. I'm shook, or maybe I'm shaking because it's so damn cold. All right, let's get into it. Hey there. If we haven't met yet, I'm Emily D. Baker, the badass lawyer and everyone's favorite legal commentator. I'm the host of The Emily Show, and I break down the legal shit behind the news and pop culture stories we all want to talk about. I have been a licensed attorney for over 15 years, but this is not legal advice. I should warn you, I'm a big fan of the cursey words. This channel is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not fuckery. All right, y'all. It's so much fun seeing where everybody's coming from and what your weather is where you are, because some of you are it's a bit chilly, more than normal. So MC123, MC456 said, enjoy your cruise. Cruising is my jam. I love cruising. I know it's not for everybody. I love it. My kids enjoy it. Our family enjoys it. I am ready. Kentucky and Fig Apple Red Bull. I didn't even know that existed, but it sounds good. Bonn, Germany with oat milk. Sounds delish. It's so good. Tampa, not as warm as it should be. I've been looking at the weather for Florida. It's definitely not as warm as it should be. So it's good. It's just so good to see where you guys are coming in from. I love our law nerds. And that's the one thing about streaming this time of day is our international law nerds don't get left out in the same way as when we stream in the evening. It's a little bit easier generally for people to be here. So I'm blown away. I can't believe we're here. I can't believe we're here at the end of the year. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. I didn't think this case would settle. I really, really didn't. So we're going to talk about what that is and what that means. First, we're going to talk a little bit about Weinstein so we can just move on, and then talk about Depp v. Heard, and then answer a lot of questions and giggle. We haven't had time for Q&A. We've been so busy. There's been so much to cover, and the end of the year doesn't disappoint. Tomorrow on the podcast, I'm covering Jen Shah's sentencing memo, and and I'm covering the transcript from her sentencing, what she admitted to, and what the government says that they would have proved at trial. There are some interesting tidbits in that transcript that maybe shed a different light on the sentencing memorandum. So we go over all of that. I might have gotten a little too gleeful covering all of the fake designer bags that the government listed in the forfeiture order because the shade was hilarious. That's on me. I mean, that's on me. I did get a little caught up for a minute there. It'll be timestamped. You can always zoom past it. But that's tomorrow's podcast. And then at the end of the year, the very last podcast of the year is going to be a roundup of WTF is happening with these cases we haven't had a chance to check in on. The cookie wars of it all. I asked our patrons over in the Law Nerds community that there are certain tiers that allow you to vote on what cases and what we cover. And so I asked our Law Nerds what they wanted to see in that roundup and took some advice. And then some of those cases that we don't get to are going to get a very special update when we get back, because some of them are very YouTube specific, and we'll just do that right at the beginning of the year. So all of y'all are like, oh my God, it's so cold everywhere. We need muffins. I need muffins. Going on my first cruise ever in February, in-laws bought for the whole family as a Christmas gift. Any tips for first-time cruiser with kids? Carnival Freedom is the ship. I don't know a ton about Carnival. Most ships have somewhere where you can refill drinks, so I would bring like a refillable water bottle or cup. I would pack less clothing than you think that you need and plan on just doing laundry on the ship. It makes life so much easier. Have fun and let the kiddos explore depending on their age. Just deep breath. But if the chat wants to leave tips below, I'm sure there are those that are better at cruise tips than me. And even though it's off topic, it's fine. It's the holidays. We're good. Hello, my spiffy legal mumbo jumbo talkie friend. Hello, Matt Bond.
It's good to see you. Cheers.
Are we going to be leaning into the soundboard today? Maybe. Maybe. Why? Because it delights me. Thank you, Catherine Joy. That's very kind. Carol's like, travel agent here. Oh my God, Saskatchewan, -33 degrees Celsius, -27 degrees Fahrenheit, drinking hot tea. How long does it say hot for? Tracy, I actually know people from Saskatchewan, and that's the only reason I think I can pronounce it sort of okay, because I've heard people say it, which generally helps. If I hear someone say it, I can normally work it out. Law Nerd group cruise, please. I mean, I'm sure we could maybe make that happen. That would be unhinged. It would be amazing. That would be very fun. So I love seeing all your weather and all your tips and tricks. So Carol's like, cold weather is why I moved south. The cold weather came. The cold weather came anyway. This is not okay. Siren of an Ember. This is unacceptable. 39 degrees, -39 degrees in North Dakota. Won't be above zero till Monday. That's just unacceptable. We talked about this a little. I popped over on Ian's stream after I did our behind the scenes podcast recording because I wanted to have a little bit of whiskey and I wanted to say hello to everybody. And then I ended up having a little bit more whiskey, and then we were just chatting about the weather. And then I was like, my husband's like, are you okay? I'm like, so I don't quite remember eating dinner. And so the whiskey, and it just unapologetic whiskeying with friends, and that was really fun. So I always enjoy getting to say hi. Was the hockey player from Saskatchewan? Ding ding ding. Those who have been around, if you know, you know. That's a whole story for another day. It's a whole story. That like the full story is unhinged, but the suitable for the internet story is not quite as ridiculous. But yes, you've got to meet people from all over the world, especially if they're attractive. It's fine. Speaking of which, we should talk about less attractive people. Harvey Weinstein. Why do I say that? It's not because I'm casting judgment on his looks. Look, we do not shame people in this chat. We do not shame people's looks. That's what his defense attorneys argued in their opening statement. That's what they argued. Not my words. His lawyers argued that. Let's talk about it. Harvey Weinstein's jury deliberated for like 10 days. It was a very, very long deliberation. If you're like, that case didn't resolve already? No, it was such a long deliberation. And it's unusual to see juries deliberate that long and not hang. So I wasn't surprised when they came back with a mixed verdict, meaning some guilt, some not guilt, some hung. A hung jury means that the jury was unable to reach a verdict, and we should get the split here. So Dana is like, wait, for real? Their argument topic was his looks? Yes. Part of their argument and opening statement was his looks. If you go back, some of my coverage is in quick picks, but I will share briefly what they said in opening. What they said in opening is that um, he's not like a Brad Pitt. And so the way that he is attracting attractive women is through his power and position in the industry. So that they argue the encounters were all consensual. So they're arguing, look, these beautiful women aren't sleeping with Harvey Weinstein because he's attractive. He's not. They are sleeping with him because he is well connected and powerful. So this was the argument, that the casting couch is alive and well, that it is a thing, and that these women actively participated. The jury disagreed with that to some extent, in saying that there are convictions and as to one of the victims, hung as to some others, and we'll get into that. But yes, they argued, look, he's not he's not attractive, and this is how this works. So they just went out there with it. And here's the thing. It's sometimes hard to kind of detach what's argued in a court of law versus what's argued and what we talk about in society, conversations that we have. The defense attorneys in this case argued everything, things that are things that you would go, that's not you what? You can't say that. That's gross. Yes, but their job is to advocate for their client. So I don't know how much this article in Deadline gets into some of the arguments that are distasteful, but that's the job of the defense attorneys. And one of these defense attorneys that argued quite regularly is a former LA County deputy district attorney, is also the attorney that was representing Tom Girardi's ex-mistress, the federal judge, is one of Weinstein's defense attorneys. It's very interesting when you start to see how things connect. You're like, oh, it's much easier for me when I actually know the name and can put a face to it. I'm like, as opposed to like, this is the same person. When I actually can visualize the person, I'm like, oh, this is Alan Jackson representing Weinstein and arguing successfully in court to some extent. And this is Alan Jackson also representing the mistress judge in the Girardi case who's turning over the jewelry. It's just, LA law is a small place. All right, let's talk about this. This is coming from Deadline. I have a few other articles. I don't know if we'll need to get into them. Let's go. Let's go. Harvey Weinstein verdict. Jennifer Seibel Newsom says producer did rape her, even as a jury disagrees. Gavin Newsom says, so incredibly proud of my wife. Sometimes I play the games with YouTube and sometimes I don't. It's the end of the year. Oh, this is just not going to go to reader view, is it? It's the end of the year. And look, I'm going to say the words. I'm just going to say the words. I'm going to say the words. If those words are triggering, I apologize. But look, we're just gonna do it. We're just gonna do it. Harvey Weinstein is a serial predator and rapist, said Jennifer Seibel Newsom today after a Los Angeles jury was unable to come to a unanimous verdict on the much accused producer's guilt in an alleged attack, in allegedly attacking her back in 2005. Quote, Harvey Weinstein will never be able to rape another woman, California's first partner asserted in a statement sent out within minutes of the mixed verdict Monday. He will spend the rest of his life behind bars where he belongs. Harvey Weinstein is a serial predator, and what he did was rape. The defense, by the way, argued that this was a consensual encounter. I'm sure we will get to that. Found guilty on a trio of charges and now facing 18 to 24 years in state prison, the already incarcerated Weinstein was acquitted on another sexual battery count and saw the jury deadlock on 3 other counts. The final round of charges were all the counts related to Jane Doe 4. That final round of charges, sorry. So all the deadlocked counts were relating to Governor Newsom's wife. So it looks like this jury believed more or believed beyond a reasonable doubt one of the accusers, did not find a sexual battery as to another accuser, and then could not reach a decision on Gavin Newsom's wife's charges. So hopefully we will get more clearly to what they found him guilty of, and we can talk a bit about that. We can talk a bit about that and what it means for sentencing. What I will say is when there are multiple victims, there are multiple victim sentencing allegations. So when he has not been convicted of multiple victims, it will drop the sentencing down. However, the jurors are back today for some aggravating sentencing. And so we will be able to see the aggravated sentencing factors hopefully at the end of today. If not, I will try to cover it when I get back. And I always try to point you to who's covering things. The court reporters from Deadline and Variety, I have found to be pretty good in the way that they report things. So those are resources as well. Taking to the stand in mid-November, an often emotional Sybil Newsom meticulously provided detail on her initial meetings with the once powerful Pulp Fiction producer almost 2 decades ago. And we're not going to get through the details of that attack. It's graphic. In the defense closing argument on December 1st, attorney Alan Jackson found that Sybil Newsom's testimony, sorry, that's not what it said. I read over this because I don't like the way we're going. In the defense closing argument on December 1st, attorney Alan Jackson focused on Sybil Newsom's testimony, mocking it as a theatrical, overly dramatized performance for the court. Jane Doe 4 cannot square in her mind the idea that she's a successful, well-educated, well-bred, refined... People say that? Okay, well-bred, refined woman who had consensual sex with Harvey Weinstein in exchange for opportunity and access. Stressing the importance of reasonable doubt to the panel of 8 men and 4 women. Viewed as a pivotal witness by both LA County prosecutors and the defense, Sybil Newsom addressed the Weinstein's team's tactics in her statement today. Throughout the trial, Weinstein's lawyers used sexism, misogyny, and bullying tactics to intimidate, demean, and ridicule us survivors, she said. This trial was a stark reminder that we as a society have work to do. To all survivors out there, I see you, I hear you, and I stand with you. Along with California's first partner, commenting on the mixed verdict Monday, California's governor also had something to say. I am so incredibly proud of my wife and all the brave women who came forward to share their truth and uplift countless survivors who cannot. Gavin Newsom said this afternoon. Their strength, courage, and conviction is a powerful example and an inspiration to us all. I imagine we'll see him passing more bills to protect victims of crime then. We must keep fighting to ensure that survivors are supported and that their voices are heard. You're the governor, though. You're the governor, though. You can actually do that. Look, this is not just platitudes. You're in a position to do that. We must keep fighting to ensure that survivors are supported and their voices are heard. How are you going to do that? Can you just outline that? What are you going to do? You're the governor. Just do things. Politics. Facing a maximum of 60 years to life plus 5 if found guilty, Weinstein was charged with 2 counts of rape and 5 counts of sexual assault in incidents in LA County from 2004 to 2013. The rape charges carry a much stronger sentence than the sexual assault. So him being convicted of 1 rape charge is going to be substantial in that it carries more of a sentence than the sexual assault cases. Following a scathing 2017 expose by the New York Times and dozens of allegations over more than 40 years, the 70-year-old Pulp Fiction producer was found guilty and sentenced to 23 years in prison by a Manhattan jury in March 2020 for multiple sex crimes. That case is currently on appeal in the Empire State. Extradited to the Golden State in the summer of 2021, Weinstein was facing 140 years behind bars if found guilty in the LA case. However, the original 11 sexual assault charges out of the grand jury indictments were reduced on November 15th when 4 of the counts related to Jane Doe 5 were removed from the case because Jane Doe 5 did not testify in the case. So all the counts that went with that alleged victim were removed. With testimony from 8 women who have claimed Weinstein sexually assaulted them, including Sybil Newsom and 3 other Jane Does, the criminal proceedings in the LA Superior Court Judge Lynch's courtroom started on October 24th. The case officially went to jury on December 2nd and just came back. After a hearing tomorrow on what the DA's office calls aggregating factors, it's what they are though. That's not like the DA's office names for them. They are aggregating factors. They are aggravating factors. That's the jury's going to decide aggravation. Weinstein is expected to be sentenced in the new year. So this is not as clear with exactly what charges. So hopefully law and crime's a little bit, or not law and crime, apologies, Law 360 is a little more clear. The jury hung on charges of rape and forcible oral copulation on Jennifer Seibel Newsom. Did they give the jury split? I saw jury splits being reported. I'm looking for them here. Let's see. The jury hung on Monday 10-2 in favor of guilt on account of sexual battery by restraint for another Jane Doe who said Weinstein assaulted her. The jury hung 8-4 in favor of guilt on both charges for Seibel Newsom. So the three hung charges are on with regard to two different accusers, and those are both leaning heavily towards guilt. Now, when somebody is the age of Harvey Weinstein, when you've already put victims through this, do you choose to retry those, or do you just sentence him on the things that are convicted and let the other things go? That is a conversation that the DAs and the alleged victims are going to have to have together after all of this to decide if they want to go through it. The jury also hung 10-2 on a lesser misdemeanor count as to Jane Doe 3. The charges were connected to the claims. I'm not going to get into the details of that. Three of the four accusers whose allegations were not connected to the charges also testified, and those were some of the evidence of propensity. Generally, propensity can't come in. The laws in each jurisdiction may vary, but when you're looking at crimes like this and certain other crimes, the past acts can be considered by the jury. We saw some of that also in past behavior with Josh Duggar. So there are certain crimes where you are allowed to bring in past acts to show that this person has a pattern or a motive and things like that. So with that, I want to see if they talk more about the guilty finding. While we would have preferred these jurors find him guilty on all counts, we understand that it was a complex trial made more difficult by the defense team's argument that a woman who is assaulted must forego her chosen career or be accused of consent after the fact, Seibel Newsom's attorney said in a statement Monday. I mean, that's literally what defense attorneys do, but yes. My client, Jane Doe 4, shared her story not only with an expectation to testify, but to support all the survivors who bravely came forward. She continued, while we are heartened that the jury found Weinstein guilty on some of the counts, we are disappointed that the jury could not reach a unanimous verdict as to Jane Doe 4. She will continue to fight for all women and all survivors of abuse against a system that permits the victim to be shamed and re-traumatized in the name of justice. If anyone's in a position to make change, I think it would be the lead politician in the state. So, the government is represented by Paul Thompson and Marlene Martinez of the LA County District Attorney's Office. Weinstein's represented by Alan Jackson and Mark Worksman. There is not a ton of information about the guilty verdicts. That's interesting. A lot of information about the hung verdicts, but not a lot. Just found guilty of one charge of rape and other sexual assault crimes related to one victim without listing how many. So with him being convicted of only one of the victims, you're not going to get the multiple victim enhancement, but he still faces a substantial sentence. And if they're going through the aggravating factors, it can bump that sentence up and add extra time. The jury's deciding that. So will he potentially face another 15 plus years on top of what he's serving in New York? Yes. Can those go one after the other? Yes. Will those go at the same time? Probably not. He's in his 70s. So the likelihood of Harvey Weinstein being out is not high. Whether the DA's office will choose to retry the hung counts, I don't know, but that's hung very much in favor of guilt. So they could. I don't know if they will want to, but they could. So with that, it is time to move on. I think it's absolutely time to move on. Don't you think? Don't you think? I think so. I think it's time. Let's let's just close out the year. Look, Weinstein's been convicted of some. I don't know if we'll see a retrial in this case. We'll see. Um, the maximum potential for Weinstein on these charges is 18 to 24 years. So will we see potentially a sentence in the 10 range? We can, but we're done. So his New York sentence was, I think, 23 years, right in that range. And that's on appeal. I didn't see any huge issues on that appeal. So we're going with Weinstein being sentenced for the rest of his life. So Benjamin, I normally pull words, but it always causes me internal turmoil because I hate playing that game. It pisses me off that when we're talking about this in the context of crimes, when we're not sensationalizing it, when we're not clickbaiting it, when we're not using it as a threat, that YouTube still hates certain words. But these are crimes that are committed in our society that I think we have to talk about. And it feels, especially in a case where there are charges of sexual assault and charges of rape, and those things are differentiated in the law in California, to lump it all together, I hate. And there are times that I'm like, my brain has the energy to play this game, and there are times when I don't. And it is always an internal struggle because I want to just be able to say the words as they are, because words are words and they describe a thing that happened, and words inherently aren't good or bad. So we should be able to say words, but the platform will censor them. But you know what? It's the end of the year, and YouTube knows that we are good. If YouTube gets mad at this video, we've got all the law nerds here, and honestly, I just don't give a fuck. I just don't. Having to I hate having to internally decide what to censor and what to not censor for a platform, but I also respect being on this platform, and that is the internal struggle every time we talk about these cases. Um, so I try to explain if I'm going to mitigate my words. I don't always describe things in detail that the media does, not because of YouTube. That's for our audience. Um, that can be very triggering. And so we can talk about the cases without getting into graphic detail of what happened and what is alleged and accused and done. And I will always cite to where I'm going to those articles in case people want to go deeper into that story, because they can go into the facts deeper. But when we're talking about the sentencing and what the jury determined, do we need to go into all of the facts of these assaults? I don't think so, not to get the story across. So then that's the balancing that I'm willing to do because I like being on YouTube. If I wanted to say all the words all the time, I would put it on the podcast and not put a video up of it, because podcasting platforms don't get so cranky. So, but you know what's interesting on the YouTubes? You can talk about the Weinstein case with less repercussion than talking about the one that rhymes with Weinstein but starts with an E. That one, talking about that one, the prince that starts with an A, and the woman that was involved with all of it, tanked this channel from discoverability for months. And it was stunning to see. I was like, oh, you're really mad with this. You're really mad with this. So yeah. Activista said, so the success muddied the waters on Newsom's wife's allegation. That's a shame. That's what that's I think what the defense was arguing. I think there were also some inconsistencies in that testimony. I'm not super surprised that that was the one where they had some issues, but it was still much more towards guilt. But it has to be all 12, and it was 8-4. So today is the day, YouTube. Today is not the day for me to pull my words. Today is not the day, and I am not the one. That's surprising. It is. It just really, really is. And that's okay. Let's see. I saw another question, and then we're going to move on to the other topic. Does the palace have that kind of reach? I don't think it's the palace. I think it's the robots. And here's what I mean by that. when certain names are connected to certain topics, especially topics regarding minors and kids who are underage, I think YouTube says these names are associated with this topic. This topic is not something we are going to show to people. Bad topic, bad subject matter. And there's not a lot of nuance between whether that topic is in a reporting or coverage sense, in an educational sense, in a legal analysis sense, or in another context. And so I think it all gets pulled down by name, by topic. So I don't think it's somebody saying, do put your finger on the button and do this. I think it's really the algorithm learning this is bad, because it happened too when there was stuff going around about James Charles. All of that got deboosted. Though it could be more nefarious than that if we've learned anything from what's coming out about Twitter. You never know who's behind the scenes sending an email to put their finger on the deboost button. But we haven't seen any evidence of that, so I try not to speculate and believe that there are people behind the scenes working against topics. Maybe there are, but I really think it's algorithmic things. So let's move on. Miguelina, let's leave the poll up for a little bit. We have a lot more people in here. Go ahead and hit the poll. This is what you guys want to cover. So Melanie said, if you don't want to have to censor like that, post on Rumble, which I know there's alternative platforms. The thing is, I really do love YouTube. Ant Space said, I can't post yeah, it's a thing. I really do love this platform, and I'm willing to work within the platform, and I'm willing to work within the platform in the way that I know that I can, because I think it helps the platform be better. And I want that. I enjoy YouTube as a platform, and I enjoy all of you. And so I'm happy to be here. I'm willing to work on it. So Jenna P said, what's come up about Twitter? Oh, Jenna, that's a longer conversation about the FBI having direct access to Twitter to tell them to do things or not do things, and Twitter having like groups within Twitter saying these accounts are going to be completely deboosted and those accounts aren't. There's a lot going on Twitter about Twitter. It's wild. So we've definitely seen more connection behind the scenes between the government and Twitter having input on what will get promoted, what won't get promoted, what's allowed to trend, what's not allowed to trend, and that kind of thing. So it's wild. So with that, let's go and talk about, well, Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, and we'll let the poll roll while I'm talking about this, and then we'll decide what we're doing next. So let us go one more time with feeling. One more time. I feel it's like one more time with feeling. Let's go. We're at the end, folks. We're at the end. We're at the end here. Is it done? Is Johnny Depp and Amber Heard done? I think it is. This feels loud to me. Is it done? Maybe. No, I think it's done. I do. I think the Amber Heard Johnny Depp case, as we know it, is over. And I think that is great for all of us. I think we're all happy. Wait. I have the kids. I have the applause. It's done. We made it, y'all. We made it. I'm seeing you guys tell me there's breaking news in Idaho. We will go take a look at that next. I don't generally cover breaking news, but we will see. Y'all, we made it. We made it. We're at the end of the road, the literal end of the road. Why? Because the appeals are done. So the court case should be done. And let's talk about what these statements are. Let's talk about what they mean. I didn't think at the end of 2022, we would be out of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard litigation. We're going to talk about what that means. We're going to talk about how the fuck can you actually settle a case after a jury verdict anyway. And then we're going to talk about what this means for the insurance litigation, because that is not done. That's not done. And that's not going to be done. But the appeals are done. Lon Lummer is like, you're done, we're done, we're all done. You're done. Like Nicole Byer has come in and been like, you're done. We are done. We're going to go to Amber Heard's statement first, because I have the most thoughts about it. And I haven't read the Brown Rudnick statement yet from Depp's attorneys. We'll do that then. and then we'll look at just a little bit of reporting. Chase said, "Isn't there a sort of famous country musician called Alan Jackson?" Yes, different Alan Jackson than the attorney for the Weinsteins. Yes. All right. Can the jurors now speak? Crazy Lady Blues fan. This is a great question. The jurors always could. The jurors always could speak. They've chosen not to. But this statement might wrap them out, might pull them out because they're being called out, I think. So I'm going to tell you what I think of the statement, and we're going to save the rest of our questions till we get to Q&A at the end of this. So I'm going directly to Amber Heard's statement over on the Instagrams. So let us pull that up. This is from Amber Heard's official Instagram. This was posted a day ago. Let's make this as big as we can so it's easy to read. And then you're going to get my commentary on what I think. After a great deal of deliberation, I've made a very difficult decision to settle the defamation case brought against me by my ex-husband in Virginia. I think this is not accurate. I think we're not settling the defamation case. You're settling the appeal. The defamation case has been adjudicated against you and you lost. So there's a constant reframing that's happening. And when I say constant, I mean constant reframing. The defamation case has already been resolved. Amber Heard doesn't seem to see it that way because she still thinks with the appeal it's not resolved. There is a jury verdict. That jury verdict stands. You lost. So the defamation case is over. So you're not really settling the defamation case. You're settling the appeals. Maybe that's me just being picky, but this feels like a reframe of what's actually happening. It's important for me to say that I never chose this. While I understand that you did not choose to get sued because that was Johnny Depp's decision to sue, Amber Heard chose to write an op-ed where she knew there was a very real probability that she would be sued. How do we know that? Because we saw the testimony about all the lawyers this got ran through. This got run through the ACLU attorneys and her private attorney. And they didn't say they were running it by the attorneys to make sure she didn't violate the NDA in her divorce. No, they said they were evaluating it for defamation. So there was at least an awareness that a defamation suit could be brought, which is very interesting to me because if you're telling the truth, truth is an absolute defense to defamation, right? Defamation has to be a false statement. So if you're saying this op-ed is true, why are you so worried about defamation? This op-ed is true. Bring the defamation then. It'll be expensive, it'll be painful, it'll suck, but bring it on. Truth is a defense. So why? Anyway, all right. It's important for me to say that I never chose this. You wrote the op-ed, you knew that this was a possibility, and you knew that this was a real possibility, and you chose to move forward. So I disagree that she didn't choose this in the sense that she knew that this was a possibility and chose to go forward. I defended my truth, and in doing so, my life as I knew it was destroyed. It's interesting that she doesn't say I defended the truth. It's always interesting to me how much she says my truth. And I wonder if it's because she doesn't want to be sued again for defamation because she lost. But it's interesting to say my truth. If this was the route she was going, my truth, she could have had her doctors come in and say, look, what Dr. Curry said is accurate. Those diagnoses are accurate. So while to you, the jury, this all seems very exaggerated and this doesn't match what you're seeing in photos and reports in people that saw her the next day, these diagnoses are accurate. So for her, in her brain, this is a much different thing. So she's not lying. She believes what she's saying because of this. They didn't go that direction. They never argued that. They could have. They had the diagnosis from Dr. Curry. They could have sought other diagnoses from doctors that were friendly to her and gone that direction, being this is not her perception of what happened to her is her truth. Because of this, they did not say that ever. What they said is, this is absolutely what happened. Not this is what she believes happened. This is absolutely what happened. This is empirically, objectively the truth. And what the jury said was, what you are saying and everything else doesn't square. They had the opportunity to explain it and they didn't. So it's just what it is. Her truth did not square with all the other evidence, and the jury rejected it. The vilification I have faced on social media is an amplified version of the ways in which women are re-victimized when they come forward. This is, again, lecturing society. Here's what I will say. When you're going to lecture society on things, maybe look at a case like, I don't know, the one we just talked about, where the defense attorney stood up in court and said, well, victims don't fake an orgasm, therefore it was consensual. So they were just trying to get ahead in the world. They literally argued all of the casting couch tropes to move that case forward. That was not done to Amber Heard. That wasn't. What they argued about Amber Heard is what she is saying does not match the people that saw her the days that this happened. The TV appearances she was on and the words that she told you. They were not arguing societal biases against victims in this case. Did that happen and does that happen? Yes. Go watch some of my other coverage of the Weinstein case, because that's exactly what they argued in that case. The casting couch is real and these women chose it. That's what they argued in the Weinstein case, and he was convicted of rape. So if you're going to talk about vilifying people, look to other cases. It happens, but that's not what happened here, from my perspective. But it does happen. And it's frustrating because Amber Heard continues to insert herself into a real problem and make it worse. What they argued about Amber Heard is not that women don't suffer sexual violence. They argued that Amber Heard lied and had a reason to lie. And Johnny Depp said on the stand, a lot of her op-ed, I stand by. A lot of that needs to happen, but the stuff about me isn't right. I'd be interested what the Weinstein victims think of Amber Heard's statement. I'd be real curious. Real curious. The vilification she faced on social media was largely based, I think, on her own testimony. It still can't have been pleasant. And yes, victims are re-victimized when they come forward. Victims, not just women. Victims. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to continue to tangent, but I'm not done yet. This happens to victims when they have to sit in court and be peppered with questions about everything that they've done that day before a jury. But this happens in robberies. It happens in stabbings. It happens in shootings. It happens in all kinds of cases where people are victims. This is not unique to Amber Heard. Victims that testify get cross-examined. And that is what defense attorneys do. It is an adversarial system. It's not an easy system. Victims didn't pick what happened to them. Something happened to them. And then they end up in court where they do not want to be, to have to sit there and be cross-examined about the things that happened and what they remember and what they did and the choices that they made that day, the choices that they made afterwards. Were they traumatized enough? Were they not traumatized enough? Did they show emotion? Did they not show enough emotion? That happens to victims in all kinds of cases because it's an adversarial system. And though the laws are catching up, particularly our criminal justice system is founded in a constitution that guarantees rights to defendants so that those rights aren't trampled on by the government and people are locked into custody and locked into jail without their freedoms based on nothing. So while it is not a perfect system, it is an adversarial system to try to ensure that those who did not commit crimes do not end up in custody. And from my experience, cases more often don't go forward than they go forward against those who should not be accused. And that is because I have prosecuted in more modern times. It's different and it has changed and it has grown. And again, not perfect, but also this is not unique just to this. So, but I don't think Amber Heard has a deep and vast understanding of our justice system. So, this experience has all been made very personal to her, but this is her statement. She's allowed to make it all about her. Now I finally have an opportunity to emancipate myself from something I attempted to leave over 6 years ago and on terms I can agree to. Okay. I have made no admission. Oh, you testified. You don't need to make an admission. You testified. You testified. You testified. You testified. So you gave testimony. You don't need to make an admission. We're settling an appeal after a jury verdict. No admissions are needed. This is not a settlement before a finding. This is a settlement after a finding. I've made no admission. This is not an act of concession. It is an act of concession. But that's okay. I'm not judging the act of concession. Should have walked away after the verdict and conceded then. So this is like, I still have not lost. This is not an act of concession. The jury has found against me, but I still have not lost. Okay. There are no restrictions or gags with respect to my voice moving forward. I mean, other than the fact that if you disparage people, you can be sued because defamation is still not free speech because it's defamation. I make this decision, she says, having lost faith in the American legal system, where my unprotected testimony served as entertainment and social media fodder. We're going to take this in two parts. My unprotected testimony. From my understanding of reading court transcripts, there was a protective order about the testimony of the sexual assault. And that testimony was going to be taken without cameras. It would have been taken in front of a jury and in front of an audience in court. It's court. It's open court. It's open court. You face the defendant has a right to face their accuser. It is open court. The plaintiff has a right to see the defendant. It is open court. Courts are open. But there was a protective order, and that would have protected it from being televised. But Elaine got into it in depth in opening statements. And because Elaine let the shit out of the horse, that protective order was violated by her own attorneys. And I can't imagine that wasn't by choice. So to, in a statement, continue to try to rewrite history of saying my unprotected testimony, it didn't have to be televised. But your testimony is always going to be public. You knew that. Your attorneys would have told you that. Also, because this is not a criminal proceeding, but a civil proceeding, Amber Heard could have chosen to not talk about it at all and said, the headline's not about him and I'm not covering it. They could have made that. There's a lot of choices they could have made. But the court transcripts indicate that Elaine violated that protective order by bringing up the assault in graphic detail during opening statements. Go back and watch the opening statements. Elaine said that. So because they wanted it in opening statements, I think it was their choice to get the most damaging details that they wanted to get out in public. They chose it. And yes, courts are public. It's going to be unprotected. Do I agree that people should have mocked her testimony? That's not how I internet. That's not how I internet. It's just not. But also, unprotected is an interesting choice of words. When I stood before a judge in the UK, you weren't sitting? When I stood before a judge in the UK, I was vindicated by a robust, impartial, and fair system. In England, it was one judge who had connections to the newspaper that was being sued, not you, the newspaper. And they had to find by a preponderance of the evidence, that the newspaper could rely on your statement. Different system, different standard, judge. I don't know. Do y'all think a judge is more robust than a jury? You let me know. Because this was 12 people that agreed unanimously, which is not easy. Getting 12 people to agree on anything is not easy. I get 12 people to agree where to go to dinner is not easy. I personally think our system is more robust, but that is my opinion. Her opinion is that the American legal system has failed her and she has lost faith in it. Well, she couldn't manipulate it and it didn't do what she wanted. So, Lawn Lumber said I would never comment on the bust of a judge or juror. I know you wouldn't. You're a very classy gentleman, Lawn Lumber. These jurors agreed. Sorry, it wasn't 12. You're right. 7 jurors. My brain was still in criminal land. Here's the thing, from my perspective. There were a lot of rulings that went in Amber Heard's way in a way I didn't agree with Judge A. I have tremendous respect for Judge A. Amber Heard's previous arrest for domestic violence should have come in. The door was open to it. Judge A kept it out. Would that have mattered to a jury? Maybe. Would it have mattered that when you have 2 people saying the other one's an abuser, that the one who had been arrested for domestic abuse have it be told? Yes, Judge A kept it out. Depp's team had a doctor that they did some motions about right at the end that I thought the door had been opened for to talk about whether or not the medical records and photos from a professional opinion, match Amber Heard's testimony. That doctor was kept out. And they talked about it in opening statements. Depp's team anticipated that doctor would testify and talked about it in opening. So I think a system that's adversarial where there is cross-examination versus somebody just telling their story and the other person going, okay, that's your side, is more robust. But I also work in the U.S. legal system. I understand the history of the 2 systems and where the U.S. went. We don't want to do it that way. We don't want to do it that way. We want to have an adversarial system where the truth is determined by neutral third parties after robustly questioning all sides to try to get to the truth of the matter. And that's what happened here. I imagine Amber Heard would not have these statements about the U.S. legal system if she felt vindicated. This is outcome determinative opinion. And I understand that. I mean, she's going to be mad about this no matter what. She feels like this was done to her, and that she had no part in doing any of this, and she has been victimized by the internet. So, okay. In the UK, the robust, impartial, and fair system, where facts were determined without cross-examination by one individual, she was protected from having to give the worst moments of my testimony in front of the world's media. No. Yes, that's true in the UK, but you knew what was coming in the US, and you knew that this would be a public trial. So even if it weren't televised, it would have still been public. And I think that they chose that. And where the court found that I was subjected to domestic and sexual violence, she is going to keep saying that she is right. The court found that the Sun could rely on what you told them to print what they printed, that it was reasonable for the Sun to do that. In the US, however, I exhausted almost all my resources, your insurance resources, in advance of and during trial, in which I was subjected to a courtroom in which abundant direct evidence that corroborated my testimony was excluded. So keep going on your appeal then. Because the appellate court was going to come around and say, no, that evidence wasn't improperly excluded. And I think that's the result they wanted to avoid, is they couldn't continue on with this narrative once the appellate court said, no, it's not direct evidence if it's hearsay. It's not. That's not how that works. And I don't think they wanted the appeals court to say that. The appeals court would have gone through those 16 points and probably shut down most of them. I was most interested to see if they were going to shut down the change of venue. That I was very interested in. But no, the court wasn't going to go on and on about the evidence kept out. And I don't even think that's one of the assignments of errors of evidence kept out. There are so many assignments of errors. Let's look. Hold on. You know what we can do? We can just go to the assignment of errors, because I really don't think that was one of them. I could be wrong. There are so many of them. So many. Let me just pull up the assignments of errors real quick. Y'all probably have a better memory than I do. I've been covering a lot of cases and trying to pre-cover cases for vacation, so my brain is tired. So let's see. Where are these assignments of error? Designations of error. Let's pull them up. All right. The trial court erred in the form nonconvenience. I was actually really interested in seeing that. That was the argument I was most interested in. The trial court erred in denying the supplemental plea and bar with regard to the UK case. The court erred in denying the demur plea and bar with regard to it being banned because of the UK case. No. Assignment of error 4, UK case. No. Yeah. Here it is, 5. Erred in excluding from evidence at trial medical records, including Ms. Heard's contemporaneous communications with medical providers such as Dr. Laura Anderson, Dr. David Kipper, Dr. Debbie Lloyd, Ms. Erin Flatib, I think, Dr. Amy Banks, Dr. Connell Cohen. So that is in number 5, assignment of error. Court erred in admitting evidence at trial related to Heard's pledge versus donate. Erred in excluding evidence of Depp's reputation. Cross-examination, allowing Depp to argue. Let's see. So it really is assignment of error 5. So it is there. That is one of their. Filati, thank you. So it really is, it is in the assignments of error. It would have been interesting to see the court say, those aren't evidence. I don't remember them arguing that much in the appellate brief, but the brief went off the rails somewhere in the middle for me. Anyway, I needed to double check because in my brain I needed to know. So she's still going with mountains of evidence. The rules of evidence apply. And I think she benefited from the court's rulings quite a lot. But the rules of evidence apply. Those aren't direct evidence. That's not what that word means. Direct evidence that corroborated my testimony, you testified, was excluded, and in which popularity and power mattered more than reason and due process. She just wants to take a giant shit on the jury and the judge and the legal system, which is just not well taken by me. I don't think popularity and power mattered. And I think when we look at the way this trial played out, that's not what we see. That's not what we see. Molly T asked, who filed the UK case with Johnny and the Sun? Johnny Depp filed against the Sun. Lawn Lumber said it's called a grumpy. You're right. It is. Giant grumpy on all of the things. I don't think popularity and power mattered more than reason and due process, though I imagine for Amber Heard, it's easier to believe that than to believe that than to accept that the jury did not find her credible. I think it's easier to blame everything else. Blame social media, blame the judge, blame the fact that her evidence was turned into fodder and entertainment. Blame all of it. Blame popularity and power. Blame all of it but don't look inward at her own testimony. Don't look at what the jury believed and didn't believe. And I think that that's what she's going to need to do to move forward and say, look, I believe me. So fuck everybody else. She goes on to say, in the interim, I was exposed to a type of humiliation that I simply cannot relive. I don't necessarily disagree, but it's interesting to see. I don't know. Her testimony didn't ring of I don't want to be here and I'm humiliated. For me, that's just my observation. But what she felt is her feelings. Even if my US appeal is successful, unlikely, the best outcome would be a retrial. True, this is true. I agree with this. Where a new jury would have to consider the evidence again. I simply cannot go through that for a third time. That's fair. I think that's fair. A lot of people don't want to go through it again. It would be worse going through it again. I think, oh, wait. Can I just, it just let me slide. All right, good. Time is precious, and I want to spend my time productively and purposefully. Great. For too many years, I have been caged in an arduous and expensive legal process, which has shown itself unable to protect me and my right to free speech. The right to free speech does not include defamation. Defamation is not protected. Defamation is defamatory. It's against the law. Defamation is not protected speech. You can't defame people. So that's those two things. I mean, this is again the rewriting of the narrative, but I agree time is precious. And I'm sure she wants to move on. I'm sure that that's true. I believe she could have apologized and probably settled and didn't want to do that. So that's a choice. I cannot afford to risk an impossible bill. That's fair. One that is not just financial, but also psychological, physical, and emotional. I believe that that's true. I believe that all of that's true. Yeah, I believe all of that's true. It is going through the cases is arduous on people, the lawyers included. It is expensive. It does have psychological and physical and emotional tolls on people. That's true. It is. It's not an easy system. Women shouldn't have to face abuse or bankruptcy for speaking her truth. But unfortunately, it is not uncommon. Again, trying to make this a bigger issue. Talking not about herself. She's not talking about herself. She's talking about all women everywhere. That this is as Amber Heard sees it. Most people who are not famous aren't going to face what she faced on social media. Some may, particularly in like family law and divorce cases where there's smaller communities where people know people, you might see that play out on social media. Not the way it played out for Amber Heard, but it can happen. Y'all ain't right said going to court sucks unless you're being paid to be there. Source my divorce. Even when you're being paid to be there, sometimes it sucks. Yeah, sometimes even when you're the lawyer, it sucks. But this is Amber Heard educating again everyone, telling all of y'all, all of us, why we don't know and she knows. In settling this case, I am also choosing the freedom to dedicate my time to the work that helped me heal after my divorce. Okay. Work that exists in realms in which I feel seen, heard, and believed, in which I know I can affect change. Doesn't she have a kid? It's interesting that family hasn't come up in any of this. Because I think that's what I would want. When you want to be done with something, it's like, I want to be done with this. I just want to spend time with my family. Just leave me alone. So, okay. I will not be threatened. Are people threatening Amber Heard? Because I haven't seen that. What are the threats? I will not be threatened, disheartened, or dissuaded by what happened from speaking the truth. So maybe we're not done. No one can and no one will take that from me. The jury disagrees that what you're saying is true. My voice forever remains the most valuable asset I have. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Maybe just move on, though. Maybe just move on. I'd like to thank my outstanding appellate and original trial teams for their relentless hard work. Have a conversation about that protective order with Elaine. It might be illuminating. I want to thank everyone who has supported me, and I turn my attention to the growing support that there's growing support. Well, there's been a huge fucking PR push to grow support across media with letters, with the amicus briefs, with the appeal. That has been a massive push. I want to thank everyone who has supported me, and I turn my attention to the growing support I've felt and seen publicly in the months since trial. So her attention is now going to be on continuing to grow the public support of her. Maybe just take a break. Maybe take a break. Maybe just take a break. Maybe take a break from social. Maybe just take just maybe a break. Like a break. You would think she would want to be out of the public eye for a while after this. If she was humiliated the way that she says, you think she would want to just be left alone and go live your best life. Just be like, y'all, I'm out. That, whatever. Her feelings are her feelings. But she's leaning in towards the growing support again, not towards family, towards the growing support she's felt and seen publicly in the months since trial and the efforts that have been made to show solidarity with my story. Any survivor knows, oh, this isn't about her again. This is about all of y'all and everyone else. Any survivor knows that the ability to tell their story often feels like the only relief. And I cannot find enough words to tell you the hope your belief in me inspires, not just for me, but for all of you. Oh, it's about all of you. It's about all of you. It's about all of you. She's not done talking about this case. That's what that statement says to me. Here's what matters, though. The appeal is done. Neither party has to spend any more money on the appeal.
Someone is at the doorbell.
Thanks. Scared the crap out of me. When you can see it in real time, when I'm just like, shit. This statement is very much I'm doing this for all of you. Support me. Do I think there might be a book? Maybe. It's interesting that she doesn't once talk about family a mom in this. Because I'll tell you what, part of the reason I am taking a vacation after a very, very busy year is to just spend uninterrupted time with my kids and my husband. Just to have some time where nothing else is on my mind. It's interesting that she doesn't talk about any of that because as a mom, one of the things you have in your life is to focus on raising your kiddo. Nothing in this statement says anything about it, which is surprising to me. This goes into, I am the spokesperson for all women ever. No, you're not. You cannot be the self-appointed queen of all women and survivors. No. I don't think she's done talking about this. It's interesting that she mentions there's no gag on her. This is a settlement after a verdict. The verdict stands. You're paying less than 10 million. Depp's paying nothing. You're dropping your appeal. He's dropping his appeal. Everyone can walk away. I have a feeling Depp is going to choose to continue to do that, and she's not. Because I have a feeling she is not going to let this go. And then everybody's going to be like, see, poor Amber Heard, the people keep being so mean to her. If she stopped talking about the case, we could all move the fuck on. I hope that she does. I hope that she moves on and does something else and not this. I hope that she finds that. I don't know if that's going to happen. Let's go look at what Brown Rudnick, Johnny Depp's attorney, said about this. Johnny Depp's attorneys put out a statement, not Johnny Depp. And I think after this settlement, this was a race to put out statements. Amber Heard's statement went up very, very, very early in the morning. There is no need for a gag order. Defamation will still be illegal. Yes. Yes, it will be. Yes, it will be. Just waiting for the 10-year Peacock documentary. I mean, does anyone need another Depp Heard documentary? We watched the trial. The trial is still available. You can still go watch it on the YouTubes. All right, let's take a look at this quick statement from Brown Rudnick's website. The Real Laura B posted this on Twitter. That's how I knew it was up. The Real Laura B has been following this case with that umbrella god, that umbrella dude, Tug, and others. Brown Rudnick helps Johnny Depp resolve defamation case. A Brown Rudnick brand and reputation management team successfully negotiated a favorable settlement for actor Johnny Depp in his defamation case against ex-wife Amber Heard. Both sides will dismiss their respective appeals in the Virginia Court of Appeals on December 22nd under the terms on December 22nd. So those appeals will be dismissed in 2 days. Under the terms of the settlement, Heard's insurer will pay Depp $1 million. It's very clear that the insurer is paying it. Mary Jane, really not Sarah. Emily sounds so tired of this. Yes, I want to move on. I want to move on so much. We have other things to talk about. So much is happening in the Girardi case. Like, Murdaugh is going to trial, and everyone's going to be talking about that, not this. We're ready. We're ready. We're ready to move on. Heard's insurer will pay Depp $1 million. This is $1 million. This is why I know that that's not done. That's why I know that this is not done. That is going to continue on. The insurance cases. We'll talk about that in a minute. Here's the shade of Ben Chu, which he has pledged and will donate to charities. They're never going to let it go. They're never going to let it go. Let's see. Chat. We are not speculating about Amber Heard's child. I only brought up that she was a mom because she talked about it so much in trial. If there are rumors about her as a mom, that is not for us to speculate on. We're going to go on and talk about the Ben Chu shade. I don't follow most rumors online because, again, they are rumors. She brought it up in the trial. That's why I bring it up. So, but yeah, even during the trial, we did not speculate about her child. I don't know what goes on in people's lives, but I do know it was brought up in the trial. She leaned on it quite a lot on social media before the trial, and there was nothing in this statement about it. I thought that was odd, but I'm not going to lean into speculation and rumor. Thank you. Again, at the end of the day, a child. We hope that they have a fulfilling life. So, all right, let us move on. So thank you for that, chat. We don't speculate. We don't know. We will talk about Ben Chu's shade all day long. So Ben Chu's shade, which he has pledged and will donate to charities. It bothered Amber Heard so much that pledge versus donate became such a central part of this case, but it proved that she lied. It proved that she was a liar, and it was a big deal to prove that she was a liar. So that's exactly why they said this. Pledged versus donate is exactly just shade. But Amber Heard's entire statement was, fuck the system. The jurors are wrong. I'm smarter than all of you. I will never be vindicated. All of you are the worst. They just took a little, and they made it clear she's not paying. This is coming from insurance. So Depp is not paying $2 million to her. She is not paying anything to him. Her insurance is paying $1 million. He's going to donate it to charity. The agreement also precludes both sides from filing another lawsuit in this case. So if something happens going forward, that's different. But in this case, they're done. You're done. We are pleased to formally close the door on this painful chapter for Mr. Depp, who made clear throughout this process his intent to bring the truth to light, partners Ben Chu and Camille Vasquez said in a statement. This was never about the money. The jury's unanimous decision in favor of Mr. Depp and against Ms. Heard remained fully in place. The payment of $1 million reinforces her acknowledgement of the legal system's rigorous pursuit for justice. This contradicts Heard's statement that this was not a concession. They're saying, look, she's paying because she lost, because that's the only way you can enforce a judgment. She's paying because she lost. In June, a Virginia jury unanimously ruled in favor of Depp following a 6-week trial and found that he had proven all elements of defamation. The 7-member jury awarded him $15 million and $2 million to Heard on account of her counterclaim. After the verdict, both sides appealed parts of the decision. And then it goes into the team. That is a very concise and well-written statement. I think that Amber Heard has realized that she's not getting anything more out of this appeal. The amicus were filed that rewrite history the way she sees it. Her appellate brief was like everybody was wrong, the court was wrong. She only has more losing to come if she keeps going with this case. Losing in the Court of Appeal and perhaps losing on Johnny Depp's side of the appeal. There are interesting parts of his appeal I would have liked to see the court rule on, but Johnny Depp's not here to make new law because I'm interested in it. Johnny Depp has wanted to be fucking done with this forever and said in court this isn't about money, he wants to move on. And it seems that he wants to move on. He's not talking about this. It seems that Johnny Depp has moved on. Amber Heard will not stop talking about this. She could have also put out a statement through her lawyers. She didn't want to. She wanted to have the last word, and so maybe she will. I don't know if Johnny Depp cares. I think he's living his best. Sometimes they say living well is the best revenge, and I think Johnny Depp is going to have to lean into that because his side has been told in public. And I think Johnny Depp, here's the difference. I think Johnny Depp is like, I have told my side, and you can choose to believe me or not, agree with me or not, but I am at peace because I have told my side. I have told you what happened. My story has been told, and that is all. And I am done. I have said it. I have spoken it. I have shared it. I have shared all of the details, and I am moving on. He is not out here continuing to try to berate people for not agreeing with him, not believing him. I have said my piece, and I am moving on. Amber Heard is still fighting to be believed, still fighting for people to agree with her. I have told my side, and y'all are pieces of shit for not agreeing with me, for not believing my side, for not seeing it the way I see it, for not rewriting what happened in this trial with me. And if you dare not rewrite what happened in this trial with me, the media is going to call you names. I am going to call you names, and people on Twitter are going to say that you're the worst. We're not seeing that from Johnny Depp's side. We're not seeing that from Johnny Depp. He's not trying to convince everyone. He put it on the table, left it there, and walked away. Amber Heard is still fighting to convince everyone. And I talked about that a bit in the I Have Thoughts members only podcast or Patreon only exclusive podcast yesterday. And we see that in certain cases in the media right now of it's not enough just to say it. If you don't believe it, I'm going to fight with you until you believe it. And that's what we're seeing, I think, a little bit with Amber Heard is it's not enough just to say it. But you can't control other people's opinions and you can't control other people's reactions. And I don't think that's comfortable for Amber Heard. I just don't think Johnny Depp cares. But this was never about money for him. So is she getting a massive discount? Yes. Was she ever going to pay $10 million? No, she was going to move out of the country and be like, meh, come get me. Good luck. Good luck spending all your money to enforce this judgment. So is this a win for them to not have to spend the money and the years to chase down a judgment? Yes. If his goal is to move on, yes, that's a win for him. Is this a win for her that she doesn't have to be chased over $10 million for the next however many years? Yes, that's a win for her. Does she get to stop paying for the appeal? Yes. So does he. And for Amber Heard, again, there's nowhere to go that's good from here. She gets to put all of her last PR statements out in these appeals and amicus briefs and not have the court knock them down and walk away, leaving those as the kind of last file documents and be like, we're out. So do I think she got everything she wanted out of this? No. Do I think there's any more benefit to be milked out of the appeal for her? Also, no. So we're going to go ahead and end the poll and see what you guys think about whether we should cover that last document that we haven't covered, or if we just answer questions and move on and just have a little bit of it's the holidays. It's the holidays. Hey, by the way, It's been a while since the little banger has banged. We're almost at 675,000 subscribers. It would sure be great if you are not subscribed. Of the 18,000 of you that are on here, it'd sure be great if you go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That would be real nice. I appreciate it. My channel doesn't always get shown to all of you, depending on the topics I talk about, so that would be great. Do you want to look at Johnny Depp's response after Amber Heard's yes, no? I don't know if we were clear on the question, because I think if, well, we're going to look at Johnny Depp's court response. Also, I see some of you have gifted memberships. Christine Hickman, thank you for gifting the 5 memberships. So we will talk about it. Can you talk about the Tory Lanez case, please? I've been asked a lot about this. I talked about it last week. I have not been following it super closely, so it's very hard to cover because there's a lot happening in that case. And I have not been following it super closely. That case is going to go on beyond me being online. So I have shared the accounts on Twitter that I was following with regard to it. There is an LA Times writer and a law and crime writer who have been in court day in and day out. Let me go share those resources again of who I've been following for it. But I have not followed it daily. And there's a lot happening there. So it there's not much a lot I can give. There's not much I can give on that case because it would have been more full-time coverage. And right now, while I'm trying to wrap up the end of the year and pre-record, I have not had time to cover it. So can I cover it? Not at the moment, unfortunately. So with that, Rachel Mills, I did see that one of Megan Thee Stallion's witnesses, there is a missing persons report. That is very unusual and odd. So I'm going to show you the reports I've been covering, or the reporters I've been following that are covering this, to kind of give you all the breakdown. So over on the Twitters and also putting out articles, Megan Cunniff from Law and Crime has been covering this day by day by day very thoroughly. If you see an open elevator and there's room or even appears to be a teeny space, you'd be kind of crazy not to go in there. The elevators are so packed, people don't even realize who's in there with them. That is all of CCB. Those are some of the worst elevators in all of LA County. No joke. These are some of the worst elevators in all of LA County. You can't talk in those elevators. Do not talk in those elevators. You literally don't ask me how I know this. You literally don't know who's buried 3 people deep behind you. And if you're talking shit about them, they might be in the elevator with you. There might be jurors in the elevator with you. Do not talk in the CCB elevators. They have ears. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Most courthouses keep jurors away from the public. Jurors are told not to be offended. If attorneys ignore them. Not all juries listen to that because they've been told not to look at them, but around LA Superior Court, elevators are a coveted thing. They're hard, and there's no other way to get up to the courtrooms. So Megan over at Law and Crime has been covering it on lawandcrime.com with very detailed writing. Rob at Law and Lumber said, we just had ours redone in Fairfax and they're only marginally better. Nothing worse than rushing to court and waiting for those stupid things. Yeah, it's the worst. And they don't have juror elevators, and they should. But they don't. They don't block off elevators just for jurors, so jurors can hear what the public says, which can be a huge issue in cases. And then I've also been following, let me go and pull it up, a reporter for the LA Times. So those are the two. Let me go share this again. James Quelly for the LA Times is also covering this case and in court day in and day out. So, yeah. Wait. Scrambling to get Postal Service death cab tickets on my phone while running to court. That's literally my life. But make it Dave Matthews tickets. So trying to get to court and buy tickets is literally the worst. So this is he's covering for the LA Times and has been writing for the LA Times and then covering the threads and sharing threads from other reporters. So if you are interested in Megan Thee Stallion, Tory Lanez coverage, I would look at the threads of what's going on. Before I move on, I will say that Megan Thee Stallion's friend who testified, Kelsey Harris, was given immunity for testimony, but not for perjury. So if she lied on the stand and it's proven that she lied on the stand, she can still be prosecuted for perjury. That's one of the questions I saw a lot. And it's very odd to see a missing person report for a witness. Yes, witnesses don't always come to court. Yes, witnesses are subpoenaed to court and don't come to court. It's very odd when the witness's own representative puts out a missing person report, because if attorneys know they're not coming, they're not going to put out a missing person report. It is very strange. It is very unusual. We will see what happens, but this case is going to go on long. I think long past me being available for coverage. So this jury will probably come in while I am traveling. So I hope to give you resources to follow. That is what I is. Natalie mentioned she intends to cover this trial too, so be on the lookout. I hope that she does, but there's limited bandwidth, and this one I knew if I started covering it in depth, I would leave you guys hanging when I travel because we are traveling. So hopefully the coverage from these accounts that are in court every day, I have found them to be very much fact-based reporting. So fucking weird when they're just like, hey, today in court, these people said this thing. The DA seemed this way. The defense attorney seemed this way. They seemed flustered. It's literally, I saw this. People said this. Here's what happened. Weird. That's great reporting. I appreciate that. Is that Megan's bodyguard that's missing? Yes. So, did you ever go after anyone for perjury? I did do a perjury trial, but it wasn't a perjury trial from a witness in my own trial. It was a perjury trial, a criminal perjury trial from someone who committed perjury in a civil matter. That does happen. What's going to happen while Emily's traveling? I don't know. I am going to be offline until the new year. So I will not be peeking back in until a few days into the new year because I will be completely offline. So let us continue. We wanted to look at that last thing, and then we're going to get into Q&A. So let me pull it up. We're going to skim the last brief, and then I will tell you what coverage is coming up in the podcast. Oh, by the way, did I say do the YouTubey things? Do the YouTubey things. How close are we? We were really close to hitting 675. I normally don't ask. I always forget to ask. I should be a better YouTuber. But I figure if you're watching me, you know that you can subscribe to the channel if you want to. But we're pretty close to the channel hitting 675. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks. We'll ask today. It's free. Hit the subscribe. One more time with feeling. This is our last of our favorite font. This is the reply brief of appellant John Depp. You guys voted? Here we go. How many pages? 30 pages. We're not getting to all of that. Let's look at the table of contents. Ms. Heard mischaracterizes the jury's findings and verdict. Ms. Heard's reliance on vicarious liability based on agency is inappropriate. An attorney is properly understood as a non-servant agent, independent contractor. The vicarious liability theory is inapposite to in the defamation context. Heard did not establish that Depp directed, controlled, or authorized Waldman. Heard failed to establish malice. The April 27th Waldman statement is properly understood as opinion. The court should have instructed the jury on independent contractor theory. This is Johnny Depp appealed on 3 findings of error or 3 designations of error regarding the Waldman statement. Amber Heard replied. Opposed it. This is Johnny Depp's reply to what Amber Heard said. Let's go through mischaracterizes the jury verdict because that's really what we're most interested in. And then we'll move on. 30 pages. Be careful what you ask for. But wait, there's more. Kathy at Oz, this is the worst. This has happened to me when you end up bumper bumping when you're like, I was backing up. What are you doing? Don't forget to pack your clam swim trunks on vacation. Oh, we're going to clam jam it up. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Does JD still have to pay Amber Heard the $2 million? No. Johnny Depp is paying Amber Heard nothing, and they are all dropping it. Is this a moot point? Yes, it is. It is a moot point. It's a completely moot point. But we put up a poll to see if you guys wanted to hear it, and here we are. And then we will go to Q&A and super chats and all the things, and we'll take some time to do that. Introduction. In her appellate brief, Ms. Heard misapplies the law. KA says, we are just being nosy. Yep. Yep, yep, yep. I do want to move on. However, there are things, if I'm willing to do it, I'll put it up to a vote and see what you guys think. I'm good at boundaries. If I really was like, I am never doing this, I would just tell you I'm not doing it. But no, I'll put it up to a vote and see the people have spoken. The law nerds have spoken, and we're covering it because the law nerds have spoken. In her appellant brief, Miss Heard misapplies the law and misstates the findings of the jury. In her Instagram statement, Miss Heard misapplies the law and misstates her findings of the jury, attempting to distract the court by re-arguing factual disputes that the jury emphatically resolved in favor of Mr. Depp. Accurate. I see you. Sassy Benchu is the best way to finish off this saga. Yes. 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 It's okay if you misunderstood the poll. A lot of you are like, repoll. We're going to go quickly. We're just going to go with the factual. We're not going to go to the arguments of law. We're just going to go with the factual statements, and then we're going to do questions. So don't worry. We're not going to do all 30 pages. The legal arguments are moot. They are moo arguments. In fact, this appeal presents the court with only a few narrow legal issues. Yes, it was well tailored. Each of which warrants a reversal of the lone portion of the judgment in favor of Miss Heard on her counterclaim. First, can a client be held vicariously liable under a pure agency theory of the alleged tortious conduct of his attorney? Footnote 1. Miss Heard asserts that evidence of direct liability was presented as well. As explained below, Miss Heard is wrong. We love direct writing. Miss Heard is wrong. This would be interesting. I am interested in what the appellate court would do, but I'm not interested in Johnny Depp spending another $1 million in legal fees just to satisfy all of our curiosity. These parties are doing the best things for them. Longstanding principles limiting liability of the acts of independent contractors dictate that the answer is no, whereas here, no evidence of additional tortious conduct by the client was presented. I wonder if these arguments are going to play out in the Markle lawsuit. We're going to have to look, because this is kind of what they're arguing. Meghan Markle's sister, half-sister, Samantha Markle, is arguing defamation based on a book that Meghan Markle seems to have given information to, and these are all allegations, seems to have given information to the authors of, and they're saying that that's defamatory. So do those authors become agents when they're given the information? Are they going to argue that? We'll see. Second, did Ms. Heard present any evidence to show that Mr. Waldman made the April 27th Waldman statement with actual malice? Again, the answer is no. Interesting questions of law that we will never have answered. Ms. Heard presented no evidence, much less clear and convincing evidence of Mr. Waldman's state of mind. She argues she can fill in this blank with evidence of Mr. Depp's state of mind, but that argument fails as a matter of law, which is appropriate for the appellate court to determine matter of law. Regardless, Ms. Heard presented no evidence that Mr. Depp even knew that the statement had been made, much less that he contemporaneously knew it was false. Third, in this context, should a comment by Mr. Waldman to a well-informed journalist that infers about inferences to be drawn from conflicting evidence in contested litigation be properly understood as a factual statement sufficient to state a claim for defamation? I'm going to sneeze. For the third time, the answer is no. The April 27th Waldman statement, maybe speaking it out loud made it go away. The April 27th Waldman statement in context is nothing more than a theory proffered by a speaker with a disclosed bias discussing an interpretation of ambiguous subject matter about which he claimed no firsthand personal knowledge. The court should uphold the judgment in most respects, but reverse as to the sole finding in Ms. Heard's favor on the April 27th Waldman statement, the one statement that the jury found to be defamatory. Ms. Heard mischaracterizes the jury's finding. Repeating factual claims that were unambiguously rejected by the jury, Ms. Heard takes the untenable position, we love untenable, that the evidence at trial, quote, established that in May 2016, the party's marriage was falling apart due to Mr. Depp's alcoholism, drug use, and abuse of his wife. They did say that in their statement. Bafflingly, Ms. Heard spends many pages of her brief reciting a litany of her factual claims that were necessarily found to be false by the jury in a wholly inappropriate attempt to re-argue the facts of this case. Literally everything. Literally everything. Literally everything. Miss Heard spends many pages of Instagram reciting a litany of her factual claims that were necessarily found to be false by the jury in a wholly inappropriate attempt to re-argue the facts of this case, which is not what the appellate court is for. This is what we were going to talk about today before it settled anyway. So here we go. Miss Heard's arguments fail the straight face test. No, you did not. No, you did not. No, you did not. No, you did not. It's not a real thing. Miss Heard's arguments failed the straight face test. The jury found in favor, like you can't say it with a straight face. The jury found in favor of Mr. Depp and against Miss Heard on virtually all material points of dispute. In finding that Miss Heard defamed Mr. Depp, the jury necessarily found that Miss Heard's statements that she was, quote, a public figure representing domestic abuse who had spoken up against, quote unquote, sexual violence made the false implication about Mr. Depp, and that Miss Heard acted with actual malice when she made these statements, meaning she knew she was lying. Keep reading, Emily. Meaning she knew the implication was false. Consistent therewith, right. The jury found that she knew that those were lies. Consistent therewith, the jury also found that Mr. Waldman's statement that Miss Heard's abuse claims were a perjurous quote-unquote hoax and, quote, a fake sexual violence allegations did not constitute defamation against her. Because they agreed that it was a hoax and that they were fake sexual violence allegations. The sole statement on which Miss Heard prevailed involved additional theorizing by Mr. Waldman that on May 21st, 2016, Miss Heard and her friends had set Mr. Depp up by calling the cops, spilled a little wine, and roughed the place up, got their stories straight under direction of a lawyer and a publicist, and then placed the second call to 911. The only intellectually honest interpretation of the verdict is that the jury found Miss Heard's claim that she had been abused by Mr. Depp was false, but also found that she had not conspired with her friends, a lawyer, and a publicist to create a fake crime scene for police officers on May 21st, 2016. That's what I kept saying. Miss Heard's attempt to recharacterize the verdict as consistent with her claims of abuse is untenable and should not be countenanced. There we go. Miss Heard's reliance on vicarious liability based on agency is inappropriate in an attorney-client context. However, it would make a fantastic exam question. If this was a bar exam question, people would literally lose their minds. Whimsical Muse, thank you. I've seen lots of discussion in the chat about my sweater. This is from Target like 4 years ago. It's got fun sleeves. I love it. You can't hold on. It's got fun sleeves. If it has fun sleeves, I'll probably buy it. But it has fun sleeves. I love this sweater. Thank you. So Target. These are interesting questions. These would make great bar exam questions, great law school questions. Great. They would make great questions because it's difficult to wrap your head around a world in which this can be true. Ms. Heard's brief proceeds from the flawed premise that she can prove Mr. Depp's liability merely by establishing that Mr. Waldman was his agent. I agree with that take. Ms. Heard misses the point. This is a shocking revelation. This is shocking. This is a shocking revelation. Shocking. Shocking. Ms. Heard misses the point. The question is not whether Mr. Waldman is an agent, but rather what type of agent he is, an employee agent or a non-employee agent, i.e. an independent contractor. Virginia has long drawn a sharp distinction between employees and independent contractors when it comes to imposing vicarious liability. Vicarious liability meaning you are responsible for some shit that somebody else did. You. So like, if you get hit in your car by a truck that is distributing Coca-Cola, can you sue Coca-Cola for the person who hit you with the truck? Well, it's going to depend on if the truck driver works for Coca-Cola or if they are an independent business owner, if they work for themselves and just have a contract with Coca-Cola. It's going to depend on the relationship between the 18-wheeler that hit you and the thing that the 18-wheeler is carrying. So it's going to depend on that relationship. And that's what they are arguing here, which is what makes this so interesting. Where is the end of a client potentially being responsible for what their attorney said? Like, what would happen if we saw Johnny Depp turn around and sue Elaine, or no, sue Amber Heard for what Elaine said in interviews? That's the same thing here. No, that's not what was found. So it's a very interesting thing. It's a very interesting thing here to try to extend that to independent contractors who you don't have that type of control over. An employee or an individual, an employer or an individual doesn't have that type of control over them. So that's what they're trying to extend the theory of control, which is why I was very interested legally in this point. Not going to be answered now. This is a very nuanced and interesting legal argument, but for everyone else, it's just like, ugh, be done. And we are. This reflects the well-recognized principle that it is responsible to impose liability on a principal for the actions of another person if that person is under the principal's control in a meaningful sense, but not otherwise. If you are in a position to tell them how to do what they're doing. In other words, the logic of generally holding employers liable for the torts of their agents and employees is simply that when employers have the right to control their employees, they are, at least theoretically, in a position to prevent them from committing tortious acts. The less control an employer can exercise, the less strength that logic has. And I think that's a solid argument. Although the Virginia Supreme Court has not squarely considered this type of agency because it doesn't come up that exists between an attorney and a client, there are substantial reasons to adapt a view that multiple jurisdictions, that attorneys, while undoubtedly agents of their clients for certain purposes, are presumptively non-servant or independent contractor agents. This is because attorneys are required to exercise independent professional judgment and are subject to independent professional and ethical obligations. Whether those are imposed or not varies by jurisdiction. Though guided by their clients with respect to the ends, attorneys have wide discretion over the means. That's true. These factors preclude the level of control that would justify holding them responsible with vicarious liability for an attorney's intentional torts. These are all great exam questions. Just write these as exam questions. So this just goes into the law. We've seen Ben choose shade. Let's go look at the conclusion, and then we're going to move on because him arguing the case law again literally helps us none, and we've heard their position of the case. Let's see. The trial court should have admitted the entire article. That I think is their weakest argument. We're not going to get there. Note on the April 27th Waldman statement is contained in a Daily Mail article with a prominent headline, "Exclusive, I need to report an assault." Listen to the 911 call made the night Johnny Depp and Amber Heard had blowout fight that ended their toxic 18-month marriage. But both claim tape backs up their version of events. The April 27th article lays out both sides conflicting versions of events, noting that Ms. Heard's attorney says phone records and police department logs vindicate Heard's account of the final shocking episode of domestic violence she endured before filing for divorce, whereas Mr. Depp's legal team say the recording does the precise opposite. However, by raising discrepancies in the various accounts Heard and her allies have given of the notorious dust-up. It also describes Ms. Heard's various allegations of abuse. Mr. Waldman's rejection of their credibility, and the response from Ms. Heard's attorney calling Waldman's statements fantasies. It is relevant to a damages analysis that Mr. Waldman's statement was not presented to the public in an uncontroverted fact, and this gets into arguing that the damages were inappropriate, and then ask the court to reverse the judgment, all of which is now moot. Why? Because everyone's appeals are being dropped on December 22nd. Merry Christmas to us. We close out 2022 with this chapter of the Depp Heard case closed, and we are only moving forward with Amber Heard's insurance companies fighting over any money that they can get amongst each other and suing Amber Heard, and that is the end. So let's go to questions. You've got questions, I've got questions. We've got some time, not a ton, but we've got some times to get to questions. So let's FAQ around and find out. For the last live stream of the year, did you go and subscribe? It's the last live stream of the year. Let's hit 675. Let's just do it. Let's do the things. We're close. Quick bits. I will pull up real-time tracking on where we're at. if I can. But let's get to questions first. I'm having a hard time pulling that up. Let's get to questions first. So, questions and comments, go ahead and put a Q or a question mark in front. It's much easier for me to find it, like Chelsea has done. Thank you, Chelsea. Can her insurer refuse to pay? I stopped because this is a much longer answer. The way that everything is worded, did I play quick bits or FAQ around and find out? Did I play the wrong one? Damn it. Hold on. Did I play the wrong one? I did. We are professionals. We are professionals. Did we play the wrong bumper? Yes. Professionals. We're professionals. We're not doing quick bits. Barney Cat said, damn it, Janet. Can her insurers refuse to pay? Not in this context, given that we already have seen, they've said insurers will pay. The Farmers has already said it has this liability. So this has already been sorted out and agreed with. So it's not like the attorneys are saying, hey, the insurance is going to pay, and insurance is like, nobody asked us. These conversations have already been sorted out and are done. So no, not in this context. Not in this context at all. Pink Wolf, I missed part of the live stream. Why did Amber settle? Well, I think I talked about it for like an hour. In short, out of money, out of patience, and I think didn't want to take the L at the appellate court. That's my personal opinion. So, if Amber Heard writes a book, can she get in trouble again for defamation if she defames? If there is new defamation, yes. If there's new defamation, yes. Can we get Rob on this last stream for the year? I did not throw out any invites because I have a time crunch, and I will absolutely not get to all of our questions if I have on guests, because I've got to get done, which is why I pestered Rob to join us on stream last night so I could say hello. So let us get to Q&A, but no, the insurance company is going to continue fighting. This is my speculation. Her insurance company, Farmers, is fighting with New York Marine, saying that New York Marine owes a duty to defend, and New York Marine is then suing Amber Heard, saying that was an intentional tort and we're not paying anything. So those lawsuits with the insurers are still going to go on. Farmers is going to pay the $1 million judgment, and then they're going to sue New York Marine and say they have a duty to pay part of it. And New York Marine is going to say, fuck, we do. And that's what's going to happen. How are you feeling this morning, EDB? Loved watching all of you together on Ian's stream last night. I feel good. I had fun. I had a nice time. I'm a little hungry, but other than that, I'm great. Thanks to the mods for being awesome and very wise. The mods are great. Happy Hanukkah. Thank you. And happy Hanukkah to everyone in the chat. Where are you going on your cruise? Undisclosed location. Cruising is my favorite vacation. My adult kids and I did Alaska this year and the British Isles next. Enjoy and happy holidays. The British Isles is on my list. We are going somewhere warm. Alaska was my favorite cruise so far, but my family wants warm. My family wants warm, so we are going somewhere warm. Great stream last night with Runkle, Rob, and Hogue. Thanks so much for the much needed laughs. I needed them too and had a really good time. Just coming in and distracting Ian and Hogue. So sad this is the last live stream of the year. Me too. My favorite thing about this year was becoming a law nerd. Thank you for all you do. Also, it looks like a Facebook page. Facebook still hasn't taken down the Emily Imposter page. My team is working on that. If anyone without a check mark on Facebook is pretending to be me, I am verified on Facebook. It's not me. And especially because I'm running a giveaway on Instagram. That is the only one at the Emily D. Baker. The rules are very clear. Anybody else is not me. So you can feel free to report them. It's interesting because when they impersonate you, they block you, but they forget that I have a team that can see it. So we are working on it. Thank you. Hello from Snowdon, British Columbia, Canada. I've got homemade gingerbread spice latte. That sounds delicious. And homemade cinnamon raisin bread. That all sounds delicious. Last night you asked Rob about his balls and Ian's giant clam trunks. We were told he was eating meatballs before he came on stream, in my defense. I was told the reason Rob could not stream is because he was finishing eating meatballs. So yes, I asked if he was done with his balls. I did. I did ask that. I did ask that. Wait, it is travelers. Did I say farmers? I keep doing that. It is travelers. It is. Question: could the insurance make Amber settle? No, they can't make her settle. That is an independent choice between her and her attorneys. They can encourage it. So, can she quote the op-ed in the book without defamation? I don't think so. But they can't sue her again over the op-ed because they already won. You know who I would sue in that context? The publisher, because the publisher knows they are republishing defamation. So I would sue the publisher. That's what I would do. So, what are the giveaway rules? I haven't been able to find them anywhere. They are under the post on Instagram. So if you go to my Insta, which I can do. Hold on. I think I have Instagram pulled up on here. Can I search? Where is my search? Where am I? Where do I exist? Y'all, we don't have very many left. If you keep subscribing, we're going to hit 675. I very much appreciate it. So if you go to my Instagram page, me, the Emily D. Baker, all over social, and you go to the post and you go to expand the post, all of the information is in there. So you can go see that on Instagram, go drop a comment, go do the likey things, and we are going to randomly select a comment for the winner. So that's over there. Need a Kleenex. Don't forget to pack your clam diggers. I won't. Let's see. I saw the contest, but my Insta isn't public, which makes it hard. But you can make a comment even if your Insta isn't public. It just makes it hard for me to contact you if you win because I can't DM you. So let's keep going. Question: won't it be almost impossible to sue her again since it'll be difficult to show damages with her limited believability? Possibly. Question: I'm really interested in your new mic stand. I was wondering if you could show or tell us what it is. I can do both. So let's see. This is an Ultima OC White, but it is, I will put a picture of it up. I'll put it in my stories up on social, but it is a more hydraulic mic stand. So I can do all the things. But I'll post a picture of it. I really enjoy it. It was not outrageously expensive, so it's good. So it's good. I will keep answering. Let's keep answering some questions. Alrighty. Don't have Insta. Why there? Well, we did numerous giveaways across the membership platforms. We did giveaways here on the YouTube channel, and Instagram is the next place where I have quite a lot of law nerds. So it's the third place we've done the giveaway. Twitter makes it a little harder to do giveaways there, but the majority of the giveaways were done here on the YouTube channel. My wife, April Arroyo, loves you. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you, Alexis. I appreciate that. Shout out to your wife. Amber was convinced she'd lose. Elon will pay the money. Insurance apparently will pay the money. Kim said, have so much fun. May not sound it, but only 67 in Hawaii. Feels freezing, storming, and very angry ocean. We even had hail. Kim, I know my friend is on vacation in Hawaii and flights were canceled. Travel could not happen. Temperature updates from y'all are making me so aware of my weather privilege. I thought -4 degrees Celsius was bad. It's really, I love seeing what everyone's experiencing. Even if people don't want to say exactly where they're living, don't, the internet is forever, but I live in this general area or it's this cold here. I love seeing it. I love weather. I'm drinking Swedish Christmas warm drink called Glögg. So thank you for making my evening great, just being you. Thank you. Hello, Jen Gerard from Yogi and the Paw Nerds, Santa Paws. Thank you. It's so much fun to see you guys too. It's just great. -40 and freezing. Tara said, I got so many compliments on my merch. Emily T. Baker is now well known in the Caribbean on the Norwegian cruise line. Cheers. I love it. Question: if she restates her claims in a different context, would a defamation case be easier to bring now the judgment is final? Oh, it really depends on the case. I don't know if Johnny Depp would wanna go after her again, but it would be I mean, it's been found to be defamatory. Eh, it would it's context specific, but would it be easier? Not necessarily, because you still have to show damage and other things. So, I am on the Kenai Peninsula in Alaska. It's -22 here. That is so cold. That is so cold. So cold. Questions. What case you wish would go away in 2023? Um, I don't know. We're going into 2023, closing out a lot of cases. That's going to be my last podcast of the year. So we're going to be kind of closing the door on a lot of cases. Um, so there isn't really anything that I'm covering that I'm like, please stop the Girardi case. There's so much more to happen. Um, So, from a please go away context, I think I would like to see resolution in the Britney Spears case the most. And that's not because I'm tired of covering it. I'm not. I'm tired for Britney. Like, I'm tired that Britney and her lawyers are still going through it. You guys were less than 100 subs away from 675. So, thank you. But I really hope that Britney gets to be done with litigation. Like, that's the case that I would like to see resolved the most. Um, that's the case I would like to see resolved the most. So thank y'all. We're almost there. I'm annoyed that Alaska is warmer than where I am. I mean that's fair. Are you planning on covering the Duggar appeals in 2023? I will take a look at them and see if we can. So I will see. I will see what they say. Um Anifa said for all of us not well bred. I mean, right? I mean, right? It was very interesting, some of the arguments made. Now I understand why Newsom lifted the statutory restrictions and limitations on sexual assault. Because of this, I was able to get justice for what happened to me as a teen by a volunteer at my high school. Amanda, I'm so glad that those changes in laws were able to allow you to pursue justice when the time was right for you. I'm really, really glad to see it. Thank you all. You guys, we are rolling. So we're going to take this off the screen for just a minute. We'll peek back in. So thank you. I'm feeling a lot of love for Rose McGowan today. Her making a noise did a lot of good. I think it got some eyes on what needed to be looked at. It absolutely did. And the thing with Me Too is going against super powerful people in an industry is hard. And it's very, very hard to do alone. And Rose McGowan really was like, I'm not going to be silent. That takes a tremendous amount of courage to go against what is well good for your own career, what is commonly acceptable, what is known about a person who has powerful friends in your industry. And that is hard not just in Hollywood, that is hard in any industry. And we see a lot of people tolerate a lot of bullshit because it's hard to go up against power. And we saw that in the Me Too against Weinstein is people literally coming together to go against powerful individuals. And I thought it was telling when Ben Chew said in his closing that Johnny Depp was a Me Too without a Me Too. The point of Me Too was to say, this happened to me, and someone else go, that happened to me too. These things happened to me as well. And to share those stories and to talk about how not just powerful men in Hollywood, but to talk about how common experiences of sexual assault are for women and to share those common experiences and to open the doors to conversation. And that was a powerful thing because it brought opportunity to talk about it in a more public way. That takes a tremendous amount of courage. But just like with anything, there are upsides and downsides of literally all things. And it can allow people to get swooped up that maybe shouldn't have been. And so I think that's what we saw in the Johnny Depp case. And Ben Shoup made a point of saying there was never anyone else who came forward and said, Me too. Everyone that came forward who had anything to say about Johnny Depp was like, yeah, I've seen him wreck hotel rooms. Yeah, I've seen him, the slamming the cabinets. Yeah, I've seen behavior like that. Yeah, I've seen him drink. Yeah, I've seen him use drugs. Those are the things people affirmed. But that's not all of what Amber Heard was complaining about. So to me, it seems like she is defaming Johnny again. Jules, I think people are going to feel that way throughout all of this. And I think there's going to be a lot of people looking at everything she says going forward and being like, isn't that defamation again? It might be defamation again. She might defame Johnny Depp again, but will he pursue it in court? Maybe not. Will it impact his career and him the way it did before? Maybe not, because I think people are going to be like, this again? Really? I think those who are always going to be like Amber Heard was mistreated by the justice system are always going to believe that. But I think for the wider population, a lot of people are going to be like, you're still kind of banging on about this. We've moved on. So have a great and well-deserved vacation. I will. Did you see what her friend Eve Barlow said about YouTube lawyers? I did. I did last night on Ian's stream. I went and took a look. I thought it was funny. Hold on. Look, y'all. Y'all are doing the things. Should we go pull up what Eve Barlow said about YouTubers? Should we just things I normally wouldn't do on stream, but it's the holidays. Should we just I mean, look, everyone's entitled to their opinion. It's just it made me laugh. When I went and found it yesterday. Let's see if it is. RIP to all the professional lawyers on YouTube. To which I say, thank you for calling us professionals. I feel very seen. We're not dancing on my grave just yet. We just really want to get to covering attorney malfeasance, but I thought it was funny. I never assume these things are about me or directed about me. I don't think Eve Barlow knows who the fuck I am or cares. I try to be fair in all of my coverage, acknowledging that people are entitled to their own feelings. They're generally not entitled to their own set of facts when it comes to criminal and defamation cases. But I think it's hilarious. Look, this channel was here before Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. This channel will be here long after Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. We all just want to start covering the Murdaugh case. We really have a lot to catch up on. There is so much going on in that case between Murdaugh and Girardi. We have scumbag lawyers to cover. Look, I don't normally name call, but we have corruption to cover more than celebrity defamation. Celebrity defamation was fascinating. Y'all know what hearsay is and is not because of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Thank you for Johnny Depp and Amber Heard for teaching everybody what hearsay is. Thank you, Elaine, for never being able to find your mic. Thank you, Dr. McMuffins, for letting us all enjoy the Muffin Man. But there are bigger things for us to move on and talk about, and we are going to do that. Will Britney Spears' father finally give the fuck up, or is the 12th accounting with all of this mystery money going to Media Matters? Will that go to trial in 2023? I want to see. Will it? What's going to happen in the Murdaugh trial, where he is accused of not just a whole bunch of corruption and stealing from clients, but of murdering his wife and son? What's going to happen there? I don't know. What's going on with the Girardi case? Will we see the bankruptcy resolved? Who purchased Erica's scandal earrings? And Erica's being sued again by the trustee. We're not even going to get to that until 2023. Lots to do. Jen Shaw is going to be sentenced at the beginning of the year. We have lots to talk about. Newsflash, Eve Barlow. The world actually does not revolve around Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Facts. Yes, please, Emily, have good ideas today, and I'm sure Eve knows who you are. I don't think so, but again, I try to just call it like I see it. So, do I worry about my channel? Do I feel like RIP is warranted? No, I don't. Leslie said Ron Richards' wife bought the Girardi earrings. I want to see the court filing on it more than an Instagram post. Like I need verification. Who is Eve Barlow? Eve Barlow is the friend of Amber Heard that was kicked out of court at the beginning of the case, who seems to be working either on a paid level or on a friend level as PR for Amber Heard. She was one of Amber Heard's most vocal supporters. And so, that RIP with this Amber Heard and her career. I mean, Amber Heard's going to want to be on YouTube. Look, I don't think she actually wants to be on YouTube. I think people just want to be on YouTube, and I think they're jealous. They don't get to be us. I do. YouTube is so much fun. Y'all, we have so much fun. We have so much else to do. 2023, what things will Emily say on live streams with Rob, Ian, and Hogue? What shenanigans will we get into? New Year's resolutions aplenty. Oh, yeah, and Ian and I still haven't watched Legally Blonde. We have lots to do. We have cookie lawsuits, people. What's going to happen with Texas Pete and his hot sauce? I don't know. We have lots to do. We have lots to do. We have lots to do in 2023. So, no, not RIP. Thank God for a vacation. Thank you for letting us close the chapter and move on. But I think it's kind of funny. Are you wearing 2 watches? No, I am not. I am trying the Whoop. Look. I have a lot of friends that are biohackers, and I am highly susceptible to tracking devices. I have an Aura ring that tracks things. I am wearing a Whoop for now that tracks things. I have an Apple Watch that tracks things. It's a problem. Wishing you all safe travels from Bucky and I. Thank you from you. Excuse me, you and Bucky. Io Tillett made a call 1.5 hours after JD left. Look, the facts are the facts. The jury found the facts. The jury didn't believe that there was a coordinated messing up of the apartment that night. I still don't know how they found malice, but those are questions we're not going to get answers to, and that's okay. Johnny Depp is paying Amber Heard nothing. Amber Heard is paying him out of insurance, and we're all going to move on. So I thought that was funny. I thought it was funny. My husband found the 4 of you hilarious last night. He loved the snark. What an intro to to y'all. Balls and clams. Yep. Thank you for a great year. Yes. What's next for the Toddy cases? I will be circling back to those early in the new year to give a catch up. There's so many of them. It's going to take a whole episode to catch up on what's going on with Toddy. So we will. I answered that about her insurance. Oh my God, me and my daughter watch Legally Blonde. So good. Who won on appeal? On this appeal, no one won. Everyone won. Everyone wins. They all walked away. They just put down their litigation. They put down their litigation and backed away slowly. Everyone wins. Amber Heard doesn't have to pay $10 million. Johnny Depp doesn't have to deal with this shit anymore. I think everyone wins or everyone loses. You just decide. You decide how you feel. There was something I was going to go look at. I asked our Patreons over at Law Nerds Unite if, you guys, we're getting there. We're getting there on the subs. I asked our Patreon members over at Law Nerds Unite if they wanted to ask questions, that I would go check them while we're doing this. Casey Harrison asked, did you see the segment on 60 Minutes about litigation funding? I thought it was very interesting. I did not see that, but I will go take a look. So, and then a lot of well wishes for my trip. So I wanted to make sure I checked in over there. So if you guys want to have conversation over on the Patreon at Law Nerds Unite, you can. Everyone gets a participation trophy. Yes. Everyone wins. I think Eve's life is the one that will be empty when she can't keep arguing with people on Twitter. Maybe. I mean, you definitely see, sorry, Nightbot, I wasn't trying to call you out. You definitely see people when they have an object of either hate or admiration, especially on Twitter. It's like, I need to talk about this person. And when that person eats off of Twitter, they're like, what do I do now? It's weird. So question, where do I find the stream of all 4 of you? It's over on Ian's channel, Runkle of the Bailey. Question, does this mean she doesn't owe him 10 million anymore? It depends on how they structure the settlement, but generally, yes, they are settling for less. They are settling for less than 10 million. And so it means she doesn't owe him. Though settlements can be structured so that if she does certain things or violates terms of the settlement, then she can have to pay the rest. So it's more of a maybe than a she doesn't owe it. It means at this point they're not going after it, but settlements can have provisions saying if you violate the settlement, then you owe us the rest of the judgment. So there's a provision for what happens. Can we get in a lane if you reach 675 before we close? Yes. I saw the question, can I throw the fan and catch it like Peter Mon? No, Peter Mon is way better than me. I can do this. My kid can. I haven't even tried. And this fan is a gift from a law nerd. It is so gloriously large that I don't think I could do it at my desk with my microphone, seeing how close I sit to my desk. But this fan is glorious and large, and I love it. It is a Daft Boy fan. It's great. So thank you again to the Laundry who sent me the amazing fans. And for when the WAP fan isn't appropriate, we have the purple one. It's so good. It's very fun. So my kid is better with this than I am. Question, are Amber Heard's insurance companies still duking it out over payment? Yes, and will. I mean, we will be talking about Amber Heard a little in the new year based on the insurance lawsuits. I think they're fascinating. Does Amber have to pay Johnny's lawyer's fees? All we heard is the $1 million that he is going to pledge to donate to charity. So that's what we heard. Let us go take a look real quick at where we're at. Let's see. Oh, you guys, we're doing it. It's getting close. He should have asked the $10 million and donated it to DV victims. I don't think she has it. Will the terms of the settlement be made public? Never. We've seen, I think, all we're going to see about this settlement. And I think that's why Amber Heard wanted to say there's no gag order. Right. You can still say things, but you can't talk about the terms of the settlement. So there is going to be some confidentiality and some NDA. So it's very interesting. JD gave Captain Corey a PlayStation 5 for Christmas. JD gives and gives and gives. Awesome guy. I didn't know that. Wait, we need to go and look at how Captain Corey's channel is doing. Hold on. Let's go see where Captain Corey's subscriber numbers are real quick. Oh, the behavior panel is live. Sorry. I just got distracted. This is why I don't go look for things on YouTube because I get distracted. Crack in the box. So let's go see. And then we have a channel link, I believe, for Crack in the Box. I'm going to put in the comments. If you guys haven't been following along with the story of YouTuber Crack in the Box, we're going to go do this right now. Crack in the Box is at 212,000 subscribers. Look, I know I was telling you guys I wanted to hit my subscriber number. I would rather Crack in the Box hit their subscriber number than me any day of the week. Corey is a young YouTuber who is on palliative care after having 2 heart transplants and choosing not to have a third, and has been posting incredible videos about becoming a YouTuber. I really hope that we get to see a silver play button unboxing soon. We saw the CEO of YouTube, Susan Wojcicki, sharing a tweet from Legal Bites about Crack in the Box's channel and saying stuff was on the way. So I hope we get to see a silver play button unboxing soon. And then 2 phone calls with Johnny Depp, and then a video from Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. They're heartwarming. It's so fun to see Corey and his family having a good time with being a YouTuber, because it was one of Corey's wishes, and Corey wanted to get to 100K. The community on YouTube and across the internet has gotten this channel well past 200K now and still growing. So that will be shared here, and then we will share it in the description. So thank you to everybody who has subscribed to really make Corey's dream of being a YouTuber come true. Corey has had the full experience of a YouTuber. Corey has gotten to hit 100K. I hope that silver play button is there soon, so we see a silver play button unboxing. Has had YouTube take down their channel and get their channel back up and have people yelling about it on Twitter. It's like the full YouTuber experience in a very short period of time. So I think that's really incredible. I hope we need a diamond play button for the dude. Let's get it. 10 million for Corey. So hopefully you guys hit the link in the description. So I hope that Corey gets to a gold play button. Let's do it. And you know what's interesting is even on Technoblade's channel, we have seen it continue to grow. So I'm so thrilled that we're seeing Crack in the Box's channel continue to grow, and that first goal of hitting 100K has been hit. Watching subscriber numbers and subscriber milestones grow is something very specific and unique to being a YouTuber, and it's such an incredible thing. So I hope that Captain Corey is just playing PlayStation 5 and enjoying focusing on the growth and the excitement of being a YouTuber. It's something, when I talk about my frustration with this platform and having to pull certain words or kind of censor the way I say certain things, at the end of the day, I do love being on this platform. I love YouTube. I love the community on YouTube. And I love the good that we can see YouTube do. What we saw from Captain Corey is not a I want to be an Instagram influencer. It was I want to be a YouTuber like the YouTubers that I admire. And that's something that is unique to YouTube and different to YouTube. And I think that's a really, really special thing that YouTube and the communities on YouTube can come together to make people's dreams come true, to come together to tell stories that aren't getting told anywhere else. And those stories can travel around the world. It is a special platform that I like being a part of. And again, whenever anything gets big, yes, are there problems? Yes. Are there frustrations? Yes. But is there a tremendous amount of good in community? Yes. 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 Ian said the same thing about Corey last night. Johnny has challenged Corey to get to 300K when we'll see the next phone call. Amazing. Let's get to 300K. Let's focus on that next statement. Question, how is Pokemon going? My kid is kicking my ass in Pokemon right now because I haven't had time to play. I got to play a little this weekend for Pokemon Go Community Day. Let's see. Can we have a Twitter push to reach out to Mr. Beast? I have asked people behind the scenes to reach out to Mr. Beast as well, so I hope we'll get to see it. Question, I thought his channel was canceled. So happy he's back. It was a YouTube issue that got sorted about the birth date that was put on the channel. So it was a YouTube issue that got sorted and got sorted quickly. Let's see. Any new merchandise for 2023? Yes, there will be new stuff for 2023 and a 500K subscriber box. So Mr. Beast is back from Antarctica. And Spooky Pookie, well, Mr. Beast might not be for you. For a kid of Corey's age, Mr. Beast is a rock star. Said from someone who, I have a kid that age, and there are YouTubers that are just not my cup of tea. I'm not saying that Jimmy is one of them, but there are YouTubers that my kid is just like, I love this YouTuber. I'm like, all right. I would love to see Mark Rober make him his own glitter box that he could do outside to celebrate. I think it would be amazing. So Captain Corey even has false contest winner scams. It's a full YouTube experience. It just, that's so wild, but great. Full experience. Question, have there been any filings between Cuthbert and Colin? I think it resolved, and those filings aren't public. So I have not seen any media reporting on it other than it's resolved. Mr. Beast might be able to get him to 1 million. I mean, Mr. Beast gains like 1 million subs a day. He might be able to if he shares it. So it's absolutely worth it. And I will, but without the fart spray, absolutely without the fart spray. I will share it on Twitter after this. So Mark Rober's amazing. I sent Captain Corey one of his boxes. Mark Rober is amazing and is a dad. So I think it's very cool. All right. I'm going to keep asking. I'm going to keep following. I've heard of Mr. Beast, never seen a video though. Mr. Beast is the most subscribed to, I think, channel on the platform, surpassing PewDiePie, and makes content that is very appealing to my kiddos. There is great content. Look, Mr. Beast has figured out YouTube to a T, and whether it's like your cup of tea to be like, hey, I'm putting 100 people in a room to see who's the last one there. It's well-produced content. He's running an entire production studio, and he does a tremendous amount of good in his community and others. So it's nice to see. And Mr. Beast and Mark Rober have paired together to do the Open Seas, not Open Seas. That's an NFT thing, but the Operation Clean Seas. I might be off on the name a little bit, to do a lot of good charity work. And he does a tremendous amount of charity work, which I think is very cool. So thank you for the well wishes. Thank you for the super chats. Just wanted to wish you and your family happy holidays. Hope you enjoy your cruise and offline time. I will. I've deleted most social media apps from my phone and I can't wait. Amber's response to Depp's response cough. I hope not. I hope not. Johnny's truth, the truth was finally spoken and received. No reason to pursue litigation for defamation. Thanks for making me a law nerd in 2022. Thanks for being here, Drop Barracuda. And I think that's fair. It echoes what Camille Vasquez says. And I think Johnny's attorneys did their last, they just did an interview. I haven't finished all of it with Court TV. And I think it's time for everyone. It's time for these parties and their lawyers to move on to other things. And I think that's fair. Shelly said, I so enjoyed the stream last night. I watched as long as I could, but I did hear about the clam trunks and balls. Y'all are great. After dark with some whiskey, we made the jokes. And honestly, it just mortifies Hogue and Rob. And Ian just keeps going. And I think it's hilarious. So, Merry Christmas, Emily. Thank you for bringing intelligence, compassions, and laughters to our community. You inspire me in so many ways. You're the best. Well, thank you. I think our community of law nerds shows that you can have interesting and fun conversation around the internet while still being compassionate. Like we can still be snarky and be sassy and have fun without taking aim at people, without putting people down, without tearing people down, without talking about people's looks or bodies, with talking about what's going on in these cases. And if we do take aim at anybody, it's generally the lawyers because we're going to take aim at the lawyers. The lawyer who called Kevin Hard through an entire filing kind of made my day. Kind of made my day. But, we can take aim at that, but we're not doing it to pull them down as people. We're poking fun in a way that I think doesn't degrade people because that's not humor. That's just degrading. And we can have fun. We can have fun without having to make fun of others, if that makes sense. Let's see. Where are we? We are not there yet. We are close though. We are close though. So, 50 away. There are 13,000 of you on here. I'm sure not all of you are subscribed. Just subscribe to Kraken. Thank you for sharing his story. I need to go share on Facebook too. He has a Facebook group with his family, so I need to go share that. Megan, I am so sorry for your loss. I'm glad this community has been there. I can imagine that that is a lot of days, and thank you for sharing that with us. It's impactful. So many of you have been through so much this year, and I've seen it in the chat. So many of you are survivors of unimaginable loss, heartache, grief, assault, and you are able to come together and still show so much compassion despite what you're walking through. And it's truly inspiring and incredible. So I'm just glad I get to be on this side of the microphone having a conversation with y'all because you make this a lot of fun. This is fun because of this community. That is why this is so much fun. I love talking about law. I love the other streamers that I've gotten to meet. I love getting to interact with other content creators. But at the end of the day, I love streaming with y'all the most. And we're going to get into day-to-day coverage. You're going to get Emily back every single day as the Murdaugh case gets underway in January. Does that make Dr. B the hues of this? I have no idea what we're talking about. I'm sorry. You said name that rhymes with Weinstein but starts with an E, and I was like, what did Einstein do? Leave Einstein out of this. Einstein is fine. Not canceled. Agreed. I have told my 6-year-old that there were no good words or bad words. We call cursey words sharp words. My younger one calls the cursey words the naughty words. He's like, Mom, naughty words. Though sometimes he does call shit the bad poop word. We could rephrase that, but we talk about the naughty words. We're like, we can't say. But I like the sharp words. I like that quite a lot. I wish YouTube would create spaces where spicy language is more like what your podcast allows. They allow me to use the cursey words. It's some of the crime words that are more difficult. Just silo certain things. Yeah, they kind of do. I mean, you're allowed to say it. It just throttles your entire channel. It doesn't just throttle a video, it throttles your entire channel. And that can be a little bit difficult because truly, I would like to grow my channel so more people can follow coverage. I think more people having the conversation, everyone coming to the conversation brings a perspective that is unique, brings experience that is unique. And the more people we have talking about the laws of our land, my outrageous hope, tell me all if I am reaching too far, but my outrageous hope is that we are helping direct the conversation for those that make the laws. If we understand the laws better as a community, it's much easier to reach out to the people writing our laws to say, hey, what are you doing with this or that? What is the statute of limitations on this? Why is it? Questions you might not have asked a year ago or 2 years ago. And we can make change by understanding. And when you understand the law, and the way that the law is playing out, you can understand what those around us who write the laws in our states and federally are doing. And I think understanding leads us to a better position to say, hey, I like this result, do more of this, or I hate that result, do less of that, and to really actually make change. Maybe that's wild of me, but we're seeing massive shifts in law, especially around things like crypto and FTX. And we're having massive conversations, big conversations about what are the ethics in things like AI. And we started talking about that with AI music. We haven't even had a chance to start talking about it with AI art yet, but and AI driving. Where are the ethics of making AI that can go to the internet and take something that somebody else has done and then spun it and then made it something new? Is it really new? Is it not new? Who owns the copyright? So many conversations to be had because the laws in our land are changing. The laws governing the internet are changing, and they're going to continue to change. And our legislature is up there at congressional hearings going, is that the doggy coin? So we need them to understand better, and they need to have the conversations to understand better. And I think we're doing that. I think that we're absolutely doing that. Jen said beautifully said, so many people don't understand the basics. They're not well taught. So even I didn't just a couple of years ago. You're extremely informational. And that is the overall goal. I love to break down the pop culture legal stuff, but I do it for greater understanding of how our system works. So let us continue. Thank you for all the giggles. Last night on Runkle Stream, whiskey plus EDB made for the most hilarious time. It's rare that EDB has had a stream with friends when we've been drinking, but it was really, really fun and I enjoyed it. Question, wasn't this one of the points at the trial that she cannot admit when she is wrong? I mean, yes, Steve, that's what Dr. Curry absolutely said. That's absolutely what Dr. Curry said. So yes, such a contrast. JD moving on, enjoying life and playing music, helping others like Corey. AH is bitter. I almost feel bad for her. I do feel bad for her. Oh, this is the one I was reading. I feel for her. I I don't think I don't think Amber Heard wants to be stuck in this loop that she is stuck in. Truly, I don't think she wants to be stuck in this loop. Um, I think she would love to be able to move on like Johnny Depp and cannot. And I hope that she's able to. So far, the only personal liability Amber has incurred is her ego, with insurance covering the money. It seems like she has more reasons than not to keep it up. At this point, I think she has more to lose, truly, because I think another court telling her she's wrong is not going to go over well. Captain Corey is now up to 213,000 subs. Let's see if that has jumped. So 213, and we are, where are we? Oh, we're chipping away, y'all. With 13,000 of you on here, I know all of you aren't subscribed. Amber is extraordinary, seriously extraordinary gall, bald-faced statements. She really is incredible. Imagine the gaslighting Depp faced, given what gaslighting towards the public has been. And it's not just her gaslighting the public either. We've seen a lot of gaslighting in this case. It's wild. Question, if Amber Heard keeps fish shaking and winds up furthering her defamatory claims. It depends on what Johnny Depp wants to do. We'll just have to see what happens. If something wild happens, I will tell you what I think in context. Johnny Depp, and I think I talked about it a little bit earlier, it might just be that the public is like, okay, just keep saying it. It might have lost all credibility, so it's not damaging. Soaring Kite, we talked about this on a stream that is burned in most of our memories. Yes. Yes, it was brought up in graphic detail and covered by the media in graphic detail. Yes, the deformed genitals were brought up at length. And yes, at length. LK Ryden said, as an SA and DV victim, I'm as furious about her testimony today as I was the day it happened. I would live to see her one time to give her perspective loudly. Nightmares can be a side effect, but I can live with that. First, I'm sorry for what you've been through. It is a hard thing to walk through. A lot in this community echoed your sentiments. A lot in your community echoed your sentiments about it. It wasn't, a lot of you didn't feel represented by Amber Heard and her testimony, and it didn't echo true for you based on your own experiences. Robin said she doesn't mention time with her daughter. It's very odd to me. Sky is a neighborhood said as a woman speaking my truth. I wish she'd stop projecting her situation to the wider population. This was a unique case. There is no two to me. This was a unique case between them. It is. Does this settlement override the monetary decision of the trial? Like, does she now only owe him $1 million or in addition to everything else? I know that we covered that. I think it's going to depend on the terms of the settlement, but yes, she's paying him $1 million now. And that if she abides by whatever the settlement is, she will not have to pay the rest. I do feel for the jury. They had to sit through the 6-week saga and have been dragged constantly by Amber. Yes, they have, which I find to be tremendously disrespectful. As the Kraken of justice takes her ship, I surrender, big bestie, but you'll never take my truth. But isn't her insurance company paying the judgment? Yes, they are. Happy holidays from Kansas. Thank you. We're going to get through just a few more and then I have got to go. Yes, intrigued by AI, the possibilities and consequences, unintentional or otherwise. Wowed by the mind journey and similar, but wondering about IP. Same. And these are the laws we're going to be talking about. Question. Oh gosh, does the deformed genitals thing mean what I think it means? I don't know what you think it means, but it came up at the Weinstein trial because I managed to make it this far without knowing anything about it. Just keep going. Just keep moving. Just keep moving. That coverage was a week ago, I think. Just keep moving and don't Google. But there was a headline in Variety about how prominently Harvey Weinstein's deformities played into this trial. Regarding Amber Heard, Jessica says she always blames and never takes responsibility. Was the UK case about whether or not the son had reason to believe her? Yes. Not that she was telling the truth? Yes. Big difference there. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're not wrong. I just don't think that's what Amber Heard thinks that means. Amber is proving that Amber is proving what was testified in court. She refused to be wrong, and Johnny wants to move on. It's about reputation, not money, and he's a great man overall. She definitely wants to be proven right, and I don't think that's going to happen. Depp Heard is now being talked about again in pop culture subreddits, and it's interesting and infuriating to see how 90% of people there are pro-Heard. I think when it comes to communities that opt in, you will definitely see, because I think there's pro-Depp subreddits as well. You will definitely see communities on Reddit opting into kind of thinking the same. I think that's part of what Reddit's for, is to be in a like-minded community. So I'm not surprised by that. Sometimes there's no arguing. People have their opinion, and their opinion is made up. There are people who will never believe Johnny Depp, will always believe Amber Heard, and vice versa. People's opinions are made up. Whether those opinions are informed by facts or not is a completely separate question. Thank you for a great year at the EDB School of Law. Cheers to Law Nerd Law School. Drop Barracuda. If AI doesn't freak you out, take a look at the deepfake video of Penguin's rap god. AI generated his face movements and voice, and it's convincing. Deepfakes are hugely concerning to me. We need to circle back on that deepfake cheerleader case. I think that mom got sentenced. Rob was the friend that made sure we all got home safe with our phones during last night's stream. I have a feeling that Rob is that friend in life as well. This is the equivalent of the Black Knight sketch in Monty Python. 'Tis but a flesh wound. She shouldn't give up, but she can't.
I'm all right. It's merely a scratch.
What are you gonna do? Bleed on me? Oh, the way I love Monty Python.
I love Monty Python. A few Johnny Depp fans are upset that he settled. We don't have a dog in this fight, so I'm not like emotionally invested one way or the other. I'm not upset that he settled. I think Johnny Depp needs to do what's best for him, and I believe this is what's best for him, because if it wasn't, he wouldn't settled. So if someone is a fan, it should be, hey, do what's best for you. If by Johnny Depp fan you mean people who just want to see Amber Heard just completely obliterated, they're never going to get that satisfaction, because that's not what court is for. Court's not for vengeance and retribution. It's to find justice. And I think This is a just result. The jury said what they said. You have a right to appeal. The appeals were wandering through, and both sides are like, can we walk the fuck away now? You done? Are you done? Because Johnny Depp wouldn't have appealed if Amber Heard hadn't appealed. They were waiting for her to stop and walk away. And she has agreed to stop and walk away. I think that's all he wants. So I think he is getting the result he wanted. He's told the world, tell the world, Johnny. He has told the world. And he wanted her to stop and go away. This seems like stopping and going away for me. Since Amber Heard was found guilty of malice, why is the insurance company paying? Why her insurance company, Farmers, is still simping for her, I don't know. Does the malice verdict go against her policy, making the insurance company not liable? That's what New York Marine is arguing. I don't know her other policy. We are going to continue to see. She sued him for defamation first, then dropped it when she realized she would lose. I don't know what context that is in because her counterclaim came second. So if there was something before the counterclaim, I don't know about that. We got a new lawsuit that I haven't talked about yet in the last podcast in the Rust case. That's coming at the end of the year, that we're going to cover briefly. I'm going to record that tomorrow. This statement is nothing but victim speak, and this settlement without restrictions will only serve to embolden her to continue abusing people in her life until it goes too far. She's learned zip. I don't know what she's learned. I think there are probably some restrictions in the settlement. I just don't know what those are, and we probably won't. Thanks for being such a strong ADHD role model. Thank you. I've been encouraged watching your channel to overcome my imposter syndrome at work. I finally asked for a promotion at work, and my bosses agree. Shame and imposter syndrome can be one of the hardest things that we encounter in neurodivergency, and I can't speak to others, but I can speak to me being dyslexic and ADHD. And I don't think it's imposter syndrome. I think it's shame, that we are taught to be ashamed of doing things differently, ashamed of not doing the things way that everybody else does. And I am just not here to be shamed. I am not here to feel ashamed. I'm here to say, this is how I can do this, or this is how I can do that, because I don't think we feel like we're imposters. I think people have taught us to be ashamed that our brains work different. And so I don't feel like an imposter. I feel sometimes ashamed that I can't pronounce things right, that sometimes my brain just switches words around. And I think that by talking about it, we can work through the shame, and by acknowledging it, we can work through the shame. So I don't know. I think that we can do it better by continuing to talk about it. Should we go check and see where we're at on the channel? I think we should. Let's see. Captain Corey is at 213. Let's see if we've zoomed. Not yet. And we are at, let's see. We're going slow, y'all. We might not hit this by the end of stream because I've got to move. Wait, Alan freaking Jackson, not the singer. The singer is not also a lawyer. There is a lawyer. So let's see. Home with a toddler during a blizzard. Well, at least home, and you don't have to be out anywhere. Hopefully you can be snuggly. Emily, have you considered making a stream elements for donations? I don't know what that is. I'm pretty sure they don't take a cut of donations like YouTube does. I have no idea what that is. I'll make a note and take a look in the new year. She's still being sued by her insurance company. Yes. And no 2 million for her. Yes. Also, it's irritating to see her stance say she won and the original verdict is void. That's incorrect. I mean, I guess there's a way to say she won because she's not paying the 10 million, but the verdict's not void. The verdict stands. She lost. She's paying less than the judgment, which is not uncommon that judgments settle. When we went over the Keemstar defamation suit, he won on an anti-slap. He won lawyer's fees, and he settled the amount of lawyer's fees to take Romeo Lacoste play button. Settlements happen all the time with regard to damages and attorney's fees. The verdict stands. The amount of the judgment is resolved, and she's walking away from her ill-thought appeal. There were a few interesting questions, but the rest of it, the 16 assignments of error, was too much. But Johnny Depp also walks away from his appeal that I think had some merit. So maybe that's a win for her too, I guess. But no, it doesn't undo. Nothing of this undoes the jury verdict. Come for the law education, stay for the lessons. So thank you. Are you going to cover the Megan Thee Stallion case? I talked about that a bit earlier, and I talked about that case a bit earlier. Question, have you ordered all dressed chips from Amazon? I have, but not recently because they take forever to get here. So I'll get some more when I get back. Salad Bar said, that's beautiful, Emily. I love the way that you view ADHD. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see. Can we please have one more high-pitched voice box Elaine for the end of the year? Yes, I will do that before I sign off. I'm going to zoom and sign off in just a second. Ivy Moore, thank you. Part of me truly believes that this might be she, does actually believe what she said, regardless of mental health. Like the more you repeat a lie, it starts to become real to you. I can absolutely understand that. So greetings from Tulsa. Could I get a shout out for my 27th birthday? Ashley Steele.
Happy 27th birthday. Woo! Finally got cold weather on it for the first time in a few years. I've been a Lawnerd since the beginning of the Depp v. Heard saga. Happy birthday, Ashley.
Yay, it's your birthday. All right, Lawnerds. It's been a wonderful 2022. Yes, dyslexia is something different from ADHD. So for me, I have both. Isn't that fun for me? It's fun for me. They interact in very fun. My neurodivergence interacts in very interesting ways sometimes. So thank you all for an incredible 2022. Hopefully this channel will hit 675 at some point. I cannot be more grateful, and there are not adequate words for how grateful I am for this community, for appreciating the facts over fuckery while still having a laugh as we cover legal cases from the ridiculous to the very, very serious. And you guys have been just incredible. I hope all of you have a wonderful and safe holiday. I am sure that things will come up while I am gone. I will not be covering them. I will be gone. We will catch up when I get back. And when I get back, I am very quickly turning around to go to the Jen Shaw sentencing. So it's going to be very busy at the beginning of 2023. I look forward to an incredible year of covering trials and the court cases and the pop culture things we want to talk about. I look forward to big things for the Emily Show podcast and for this community. So to wrap up 2022, what an incredible year of us as Law Nerds, of this channel growing, and for all of us to have a little fun. So I can't believe it's over. I hope I didn't scare your animals. But with that,
Elaine! That's the wrong button.
Elaine! Your mic! For the love of everything. Law Nerds, thank you. I love you.
you are the greatest community on the internet. Try not to find rage in those that are misrepresenting what happened today. Y'all know what the facts are, and other people's opinions don't change the facts. Opinions are not facts. So people being, this undoes a jury verdict, it's just not true. And it's okay. If that's what they need to believe, look, let them believe it. In their world, it might be true. Like, whatever. Let them exist in their own timeline. We're just going to stay grounded in what actually happened. You've got the statement from Brown Rudnick that's very grounded in what happened. And with that, it is time to go. Appreciate you. Thank you. I'll see all of you in 2023. Have a wonderful, wonderful, and warm holiday season. Bye. Connect with me everywhere. I'm at the Emily D. Baker. If you guys want to join the text, just text Emily.com. If you want to join the channel, LawNerdsUnite.com. Happy to have you. Support what we do here on the YouTube.